7:00 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice this meeting was posted on April 26, 2016 at 12:17 p.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV. Please turn your cell phones off, and those of you with radios, please turn the volumes down a little bit if you can. Councilor Fury is absent today. He's in Washington, D.C. Councilor Sargent moves to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. And I request that everyone please rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Famico.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd ask for a suspension of the rules to allow the mayor and the chief to come up and swear in some of our new officers and new appointments in the fire department.
Seeing no objection, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Jerry. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you. I know Chief Cody would like to offer a few remarks as well. This is always an exciting time when we're in a position to promote a number of our firefighters to superior officers. We'll bring up the individuals just slightly. I just want to be brief in saying I happen to know many of these individuals, and I'm thrilled that we're going to be in a position to raise their rank. I'm always proud of the work of our department. We have an active city stat program where we're always comparing our statistics, and we have some of the fastest response times on the North Shore, if not in the Commonwealth, by our firefighters. But more than how quickly they're able to get there is really the quality of care that we provide. I think as many folks know, fires are down. That's a good thing. So many of our responses are to emergency medical calls, and having somebody who's trained, who's there fast, that has that extra care and pride within the department and across our community is really, really special, and something that I think is a great deal of pride to all of us in this chamber. I'm also equally thrilled to share this at the council. We've been, over the last several years, trying to ensure when we're swearing in new recruits or making promotions that we're doing in this building in spirit of the partnership, that it's the resources provided by the council and the budget and our work together that allows us not only to keep fully staffed, keep up with the equipment. I know the new ladder's coming along and we're excited about getting it here, but also to continue to invest in public safety in our community for the good of our entire city. So happy to be here tonight. We'll swear folks in shortly, but I want to make sure we introduce Chief Cody, who will also share some remarks.
Chief.
Thank you very much, Mayor, councilors. Thank you for having us. Always a nice night. These individuals put in about a year of studying, about a dozen books, and they all did a great job. Some worked a little longer than others, but they all came through. Salem's a small department, and we usually don't have every year a lot of people retiring. We did it in the early 80s, the mid 90s. We had 13 people that went out. This year we just happen to have 8 people retiring. But with the retirements, we get 8 new people on the job, lowers our age a little bit, then we can stay quicker. But it also gives some of the gentlemen an opportunity for promotion. So tonight, there is 5 promotions. One gentleman couldn't be here. He planned a trip to Florida, and we couldn't get him back. So tonight, we have Scott Austin, who joined the department in 2001, was promoted to lieutenant in 2008, and will be promoted to captain tonight. Jerry Frechette joined the department also in 2001 and promoted to lieutenant in 2005 and to captain this evening. And for lieutenant, Thomas Brophy joined the department in 2008, Frank DeFranco in 1994, and Pat Tobin in 1988. So I thank you very much, and if Mayor, you do the honors.
Absolutely. We can invite Tom, Patrick, Scott, Jerry up. We can go ahead and administer the oath. Does that work? So you guys have done this before. After I say aye, I'm going to pause and you're going to state your name. And then at the appropriate time, you'll start to state your rank. So if you can please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me
as
captain and lieutenant acting to the best of my ability and understanding,
acting to the best of my ability and understanding,
agreeably with the Constitution and laws
agreeably with the Constitution and laws
of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Salem,
of the City of Salem,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I
I
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. To make it official, it's not the swearing in. As each of you know, you do need to officially sign the city log, city book, signing you in. If you could do that at this time, that'd be great.
Councilman McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a 2-minute recess.
Councilman McCarthy requests a 2-minute recess to allow the photographs to get taken. The room be clear. Seeing no objection, go into recess. Councilman McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we return to the regular portion of the meeting.
Councilman McCarthy moves the return to the regular portion of the meeting. Seeing no objection. Public testimony. We have, Councilman McCarthy. Yes.
Point of personal privilege before we start,
Yes.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. For all my colleagues, I left something on your desk this evening. It has been my distinct pleasure for the last 6 years to be involved in the After Prom Committee. As it was sold to me 6 years ago. It was the Pay It Forward Committee, to pay it forward till my sons were to the point where they were going to their own prom. And I went to my son's senior prom, and I'm going to go to my youngest son's senior prom this year. And it's a great night. We as a group, the After Prom Committee, we make the kids sign contracts. We keep our kids safe. They sign a contract, they go to the prom by bus, they come back from the prom by bus to the Salem Marblehead Y or the Marblehead Salem Y, whichever way you want to fight about it, up at the Van Waterloo Y, and we keep them there until approximately 3:30 in the morning, at which point we bus them back to the high school, we feed them breakfast, and as the sun comes up, we send them on their way. And I look at it as a parent, it is probably one of the scariest nights in your life. But the group of parents that we have put together to try to keep these kids safe is phenomenal. And the only thing we ask is for donations, anything. You wouldn't believe if you went to the Y at 2 in the morning to see a bunch of high school seniors playing bingo for a $5 Dunkin' Donut card. Or for a $5 gas card, or a $5 CVS card, or whatever. Because at that point, they're graduating. Guess what? They don't know what life is about. And they're going to graduate, and they're playing bingo because they look at it as, hey, this summer, I really don't want to work because I'm going to college. And guess what? If I play bingo, I could win a $5 gas card. Or if you go, we hire a hypnotist at 3 o'clock in the morning. He hypnotizes literally 30 people and could have them do anything. To at one point, one year, I was standing in the background, and they hypnotized this young woman, and the instructions were, when you open your eyes, I want you to recognize the person in the audience that you're on the red carpet at the award ceremony for the Academy Awards or whatever music award or whatever it was, and I want you to recognize that person and run out into the audience and grab that person and bring them back. Well, when that young girl started screaming Beyonce and she came running at me, Fortunately, she went to the person standing next to me. I was convinced that this hypnotist was actually real.
Not on tape?
No, thank God it's not on tape. But on all seriousness, for my colleagues, I put a letter. Donations to Salem High School for the After Prom Committee is legally, money-wise, we send the money. to the high school. We take donations ourselves. Anybody at home, it's serious, in all seriousness, I get a little choked up because I think about my son graduating and thinking about all those kids and thinking about those stories on television on the nights that when, God forbid, knocking on some real hardwood, something happens and it's a real serious night and we as a committee take it seriously, and it's something I've done for the last 6 nights. I mean, I'm going home when the sun's coming up, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So I ask anybody in this room, anybody at home, seriously, you see me, my wife, anybody on the committee, Salem High School, there's an address on here. Please, anything, like I said, even a $5 gift card, if you want to make a larger donation. The Y does a fabulous job in giving us a real discounted rate to keep the kids there all night. But it's all, the whole after prom committee is funded by individuals. It's outside of the school department, it's outside of the city, and it's a real great program. And I thank you for indulging me in this time. But seriously, anybody who can make a donation would be really thoughtful. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll give one before we go to public, since we're doing this now. Before the meeting began, I was discussing some of the recent incident with Rosemary O'Connor from the Mac Park Association, and what happened 2 weeks ago at this night while we were getting our meeting started. As most of the people here are all aware, one of our police officers was in a very life-threatening, dangerous situation very recently. That's the kind of thing that's very difficult to have something like what happened to him happen. And we thought that as a city, it would be really a good thing for us all to try and show our support and our gratitude for the work that he's done and the situation that he got himself into, and the fact that thank goodness he's still with us. So if any of you watching on TV or here in the room if you can send a card or a note to Officer Brian St. Pierre, who was involved in this, in care of the Salem Police Department at 93 Margin Street, here in Salem, of course. If any of you can or would be able to do so, I'm sure that Officer St. Pierre would be greatly appreciative of it, and it would be a nice way to, show, for the city to show Officer St. Pierre that we've got his back. So thank you, Rosemary, for helping come up with that, and that was a great idea, and I think it's going to be terrific.
95 Margin Street.
Sorry, 95 Margin Street. Thank you for the correction. We were going back and forth on what the address actually was downstairs, so that's good. So, if any other councilors have any announcements? Seeing none, we have public testimony. We have 2 people signed up. First, Jeff Cohen.
Jeff Cohen, 12 Hancock Street. First of all, at the last council meeting, I tried as best I could to stay up for when you guys reappointed me to the Renewable Energy Task Force. I want to tell you I'm grateful, and I will do everything I can. My commitment is to make this a more sustainable and resilient community. Today, I am speaking on behalf of Salem's No Place for Hate Committee regarding the mayor's letter and resolution that's being submitted tonight regarding Senate Bill 735 and House Bill 1577. Councilor O'Keefe, when he served as the liaison to the No Place for Hate Committee, worked tirelessly with our committee, Councilor Epley, Christian Hoysrath, the mayor's office, and many others in getting the city's non-discrimination ordinance passed unanimously in 2014. One of the first communities to pass a comprehensive ordinance, Salem made a statement backed up by the law that all who live, work, or visit Salem are welcome here equally. As Councilor O'Keefe was very proud of his work, we must continue to act, to lead and help Representative Tucker and Senator Lovely with our support and recommendation to pass House Bills 1577, Senate Bill 735. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker we have is Erin Dolan.
Konnichiwa, konbanwa, minasan. Good evening. I represent the sister city relationship that we have with Japan. And I don't know if you all realize, but you walk by a pagoda every time you come into this room. We are the ones responsible for this beautiful display out here. And we've been a part of the Sister City program for 25 years. This is our sesquicentennial. And so we originally started with Dr. Joe Salerno when he was head of schools. He's here to support us. And we have many host families actually in the room. Well, one's in Washington. But Mr. Dibble and the mayor have both been host families in the past. I brought a little handout because I know that time is precious, and I just wanted to pass around. This is part of a larger presentation that we just wanted to give a little bit of a summary of. In general, what we are asking for is to strengthen the relationship that we have with our sister city. We are one of the oldest sister cities in the Commonwealth. We only have one that was 27 years. We're at 25. And we work closely with the Japanese consulate, and we've worked closely with the Peabody Essex Museum and several of the communities, your cherry trees down by the Hawthorne, and we're kind of integrated all over the city. But in 2001, we were small enough and the city was hurting enough that we came off of your budget and kind of out of your realm, and we became a 501c3 and we started to support ourselves. And the good news is we grew and we did really well. And so now we support ourselves, but we can't, continue moving forward at this rate without focusing all of our energy on fundraising. And we really need to focus all of our energy on our community relations and welcoming these people into our homes, because we homestay 10 to 16 adults every year, 28 middle schoolers every year, and we send over every other year 10 to 16 adults, and we have sent hundreds of students. So we have a student trip actually leaving in July this year. August. We have students coming here in July. So I just, the history is on here. What we coordinate, what we fund is on here. We do provide a college scholarship for somebody that's been involved in the trip. They don't have to have gone to Japan. But we fundraise $500. That's the best we can do, but that's what we do. And then on the second page, we don't only need financial support. We could also use some resources, a liaison person that would make it easier, so we have one contact when we need school visits. We do an art exchange. We do pen pals. We do all different things that, we call all different people for. So that is, in a nutshell, who we are and what we'd like to do to try and maintain this really beautiful relationship that we have with OTA.
Thank you. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to ask that we take the agenda out of order to go to page 10 for appointments and reappointments.
Councilor Gerard moves to take the go out of order in the agenda to appointments and reappointments. Seeing no objection. Appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Nancy Crowder to serve as a member of the Board of Health with a term to expire March 1st, 2018.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the pleasure of actually presenting Nancy Crowder to the council tonight, and I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Gerard moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nancy has spent her entire career in public health as a nurse, and she's also on the board of the Salem Award Foundation. She's done a lot of volunteering, and she wants to continue to give back to the community. I will also note that prior to moving to Salem, I lived in New York, and I worked with nurses there, and a lot of our nurses came from Wagner, which turned out a lot of fantastic nurses, which Nancy is a Wagner graduate as well of their school of nursing, so I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have her. And I also want to point out that at our last Board of Health meeting, she was there and she thoroughly enjoyed it, and now she wants to serve, so I hope everyone supports this.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes. On the matter of the appointment of Nancy Crowder to the Board of Health, 10 councilors present, 10 councilors voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move for a suspension of the rules to allow Ms. Crowder to address the council if she so wishes.
Councilor Gerard moves to suspend the rules. Seeing no objection. Ms. Crowder.
Hello. A quick thank you very much. I appreciate your support, and I hope I will do a good job. I plan to work hard.
Thank you.
Further appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Denise Belf to serve as a member of the Beautification Committee with a term to expire April 14, 2019.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Gerard moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the distinct pleasure of being able to serve with Denise, as we are both active members in the Friends of Green Lawn, and she has been a fantastic and very, very active member. She's fairly new to the city. Next month will be 2 years that she's lived on Walter Street, and she has thoroughly enjoyed it, and she wants to give back to our city, and I think that we should confirm her enthusiastically.
Seeing no further discussion, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes. On the matter of the appointment of Denise Balk to the Beautification Committee, 10 councilors present, 10 voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for a suspension of rules to allow Denise to address the council, if she so wishes.
Seeing no objection, Ms. Balk.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to serving on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Further appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Matt Rustica to serve as a member of the Renewable Energy Task Force with a term to expire April 14, 2019.
Councilor Famiko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Famiko moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Yes, Mr. President. Matt's a relatively new Salemite who lives over near the Commons, so right in the heart of Ward 2, as I'd refer to it. For his official role outside of the city for his full-time job, he is the Energy Efficiency Program Coordinator for the Mass Department of Energy Resources. So in that role, he's working to promote policies regarding the state's use of energy. In the past, at the same time as that, he's also a research analyst, and he has past experience in Senator Kerry's office, where he worked as a liaison between Mass residents and the different federal agencies. I am really glad that he came to Salem and that we have some new blood on another board. It's great to see some younger members of the community also getting involved in different forms of local government. Matt has a wealth of information. He has his bachelor's, a master's from Brown, as well as his resume tells me. But I think he'll be a fabulous addition to this Renewable Energy Task Force, and I'm hoping that they can also help out our Salem State University students that came before us at the last meeting. So I urge all of my fellow councilors to support Matt's appointment.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes. On the matter of the appointment of Matt Rusteka to the Renewable Energy Task Force, 10 councilors present, 10 councilors voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Famiko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a suspension of the rules to allow Matt to address the council and the audience if he chooses to do so.
Thank you. Seeing no objection, Mr. Rusteka.
I'm sorry, I didn't know how to pronounce your last name.
Oh, it's Rustica. Thank you, though. I'd like to thank Councilor Famiko and Mayor Driscoll and also Councilor Beyonce. Love your new movie. But in all seriousness, I am relatively new to Salem. My wife and I just moved here about 2 months ago, and everyone has been so nice, and it's such a great place to live. I'm so happy to be a member of the community and for this opportunity to give back in the best way I can. So thank you all again, and hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Nice. I like that.
Councilor Epley.
Mr. President, I hope that it's a unanimous vote rather than a 9-1 vote.
Yes.
After that.
Definitely be looking for more gas cards.
Thank you, Mr. President. I
This group.
move that we take out of order page 20, the request about the Witches' Cup race.
Okay. Councilor Mika moves that we go out of order to page 20, petitions. So, see no objection? Petitions.
We have a request from Dan Schuman to hold a bike race, Witches' Cup, and use of city streets on August 10, 2016, as well as serve and consume beer and wine in the common.
Councilor Famiko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be granted.
Councilor Famiko moves this be granted. Under discussion.
Yeah, this is a long-standing tradition in Salem. I actually have the first Witches' Cup poster hanging up in my apartment on the wall. It was given to me by the original race organizer. And I think that folks in the Common would be happy we no longer have the horse jumping on the Common that used to take place at the same time as the actual bike race around. But Dan has done a great job in years past. He works with the police department in coordinating all of the details and placements of the officers. Unfortunately, last year we could not hold this event. As everyone knows, we have the decade of the shovel right now and our streets were a bit torn up, but we've been ensured that they will be repaved along the Common in time for this road race. Also, I spoke with Dan earlier today. I had a little problem corner last year. I went on the outside of the fence when I shouldn't have been there. I didn't know I couldn't go there, but he assured me that he'll put some hay bales or something there so no one potentially gets hit by one of the cycles. There is a beer tent on the Common for this event. They've had no problems in the past years about this. They've cleaned up the event thoroughly, and overall it's a really great time to be there. And a lot of people gather near the Hawthorne Hotel, but if anyone does go to it, I would suggest going over near the Arch, which the Common Association is just about done doing. You can see the bikes going past the Arch with the historic homes in the background. It's quite the sight. But I do enthusiastically support this event.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also enthusiastically support this petition. I have volunteered for Dan for this race ever since he's held it, and we have a fantastic time, and I'm one of those people who makes sure that the Common is cleaned up when we're done. So I'll be there again, I hope.
Councilor Sargent.
Excuse me.
Yes, with Tom out, it's here.
All right. Who should I recognize?
That'd be me.
Councilor Torriello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to support this race strongly. This is one of the premier events that we do in Salem outside of October, and this is the kind of year-round event that we want to see a city like Salem be known for as we try and move our reputation from just being the witch city. This may be the Witches' Cup bike race, but it's everything but. So it draws a good crowd every year. It's a well-behaved, very, very respectful group. They go, there's plenty of vendors who come, and it winds up being a great time for families. There's a lot to do. It's an absolutely spectacular site, and for those of you who have not been before, I strongly recommend that you come down there that night for it. It's an absolutely terrific time, and it's pretty much the signature event that we have during Heritage Days week. Because unfortunately last year, of all the construction, we couldn't hold it, so I'm so glad that we are able to bring it back this year and hopefully for years and years to come. Thank you.
Did you do the vote?
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to rise and recognize Dan, former Ward 1 resident and a business owner in downtown. He has a bike shop downtown, does a fabulous job. And if you ever have a conversation with Dan, they don't make a lot of money doing this. He does this because he loves bicycling, he loves cycling, and he loves the activity and the enthusiasm that's generated around this. So I want to stand up and recognize Dan, because I know we've had brief conversations about this in the past, and because he's come before many different committees, getting this whole thing done over the course of years, and they don't make a ton of money doing this, if any at all. He's happy to break even, but it's just more for the recognition and bringing people into Salem and all that extra money that's generated from all the other businesses around town, and to help Heritage Week and just broaden the whole aspect of Salem. And I want to recognize him and commend him for doing that, and be willing to, after having to take a year off to kind of re-gear and retool, because anybody who's ever been involved in any kind of yearly event knows you start planning for that event the day after the event happens. And so for him to kind of take a 2-year hiatus, I'm sure he's scratching his head going, "Now, what do I have to do again? And what do I have to make sure to get done?" And what, he's, so I'm sure he's trying to dot all his I's and cross all his T's, but I just want to recognize him for all that he does do for the city of Salem on behalf of this race. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On the motion that this petition be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Councilor Fumiko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that is there anything else that Councilor Gerard needs to take out of order?
Okay, so we'll have Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we take out of order, we go to page 19, communications from city officials for
Councilor Gerard moves that we go out of order to page 19, communications from city officials. Seeing no objection. Communications from city officials.
A communication from Larry Ramden, health agent, requesting to address the city council relative to the opiate overdose epidemic currently gripping our city and country, and how to recognize the signs of an overdose, the administration of naloxone, its availability and impact on reversing an opiate overdose.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I just want to recognize, I'm actually part of the Opiate Overdose Awareness Coalition, and I just want to recognize some members who are here tonight. So we do have Larry Ramden. We also have Wendy Kemp, who is from Ridgewell, as well as Mary Wheeler, who is from Healthy Streets Lynn, and also Ed Moriarty, who is also part of the coalition as well. And as we know, that this is happening far, far, far too often, and so we hope that the presentation tonight will give a lot of people some important education and information about this issue. And I also move for suspension of the rules to allow Mr. Ramden to speak.
Councilor Gerard moves for suspension of the rules to allow Mr. Ramden to speak. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Gerard. Receive and file.
I also move to receive and file the communication.
Councilor Gerard moves to receive and file the communication. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Mr. Ramden.
Evening, Mr. President and members of council. We have a national crisis, opiate epidemic that's impacting our children, our friends, our neighbors, our families. It's taking a huge toll on our community. We as a community have come together and we have formed an opiate task force with many community partners, including our police department, Salem Hospital, providers across. Our project was done through a SAPC grant. A MOPSI grant. And Wendy Kent is our program manager. We are here tonight to talk about what happens in an overdose and what we as a community can do if we see someone going through the effects of an overdose to prevent that person from dying. They're not throwaway people who deal with opiate addictions. They're real people. There are a number of things that we have done. Recently, we hosted a screening of the film Anonymous People. It was well received with approximately 100 people attending. It was held over at the Visitor Center in collaboration with the National Park Service. Right now, the federal agency that deals with opiate problems and addiction problems is hosting a recovery series, and we have partnered with Salem TV, and they will be screening that series for us. We're also within the next month, we'll be starting a panel discussion series, starting with the science and medicine behind opiate addiction, so our community will have a greater understanding of what someone who's dealing with an addiction is going through, and it will follow up with a number of different partners. Also, in collaboration with the police department, we'll be hosting a recognition of Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st, and later down in the year, we'll be hosting a vigil on the Common, recognizing all who have died and all who are dealing with this terrible disease. I'd like to introduce two people tonight who are going to be doing the further part of this presentation. Wendy Kent, our project manager, and Mary Wheeler of Healthy Streets. Wendy?
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. My name is Wendy Kent. I'm the Director of Behavioral Health and Prevention Programs for Bridgewell. And as Larry mentioned, I also oversee the state-funded initiative. Lynn is the lead community, and we are now working in collaboration with the cities of Salem and Peabody to reduce opioid use and overdoses. We're here this evening to talk about overdose prevention and to provide you with a very brief training on how to use nasal naloxone, or Narcan, as it's commonly known, to save the life of an individual who is overdosing. Addressing the opioid use and overdose issue involves multiple approaches. On the one hand, there are a number of prevention initiatives being developed and implemented in Salem and many other communities in the Commonwealth. Many of these strategies involve educating youth, parents, the general community about the prevalence and development of addiction to try to prevent people from using prescription opioids and heroin in the first place. However, this is a very, very long-term process, and change is not going to occur overnight. It involves educating, it involves changing attitudes and beliefs about substance use disorders, changing long-standing policies and practices within the medical community, and reducing the stigma of the disease of addiction. In the meantime, we have to deal with the much more immediate issue of overdoses and overdose deaths. In the past 10 years, more than 7,000 people have died in Massachusetts as a result of an unintentional opioid overdose. That includes overdoses on prescription medications as well as heroin. In Salem, in 2015, there were 123 overdoses over the course of the year. 15 of those were fatal. The ages of overdose victims can range from young adults who are 18, 19, 20 years old, all the way up to individuals in their 50s and 60s. The highest risk group is generally in that 25 to 35 age range. And generally speaking, the ratio of men to women who overdose is about 2 to 1, but it changes constantly. So far this year, there have been 44 overdoses in the city, and 5 have been fatal. And at this rate, and if this trend continues, Salem will likely surpass last year's numbers. To address this, for the population that is still actively using and either not ready to stop or have had difficulty maintaining sobriety over a period of time, we really need to be focusing our efforts. In addition to long-term prevention, we have to be focusing on harm reduction. Harm reduction is about providing information and tools to those who are most at risk to help them, connect with them, and hopefully keep them alive long enough to get them to the point where they are maybe ready for treatment and recovery. Nasal naloxone and Narcan is one of those tools. Its availability to individuals at risk and to their families is crucial. Its availability to people in recovery and their families is crucial because just like any chronic disease, relapse can occur, and with relapse, there is generally a greater risk of overdose. But in addition to that, and this is part of why we're here tonight, is we want to raise awareness of the importance of naloxone and to reinforce the fact that it is not just a problem to be addressed by a few people, but it is a community-wide public health issue. And you don't always have to be living with or connected to an individual with an opioid use disorder in order to possibly be faced with having to save a life. Access to naloxone is now fairly simple. In the past, it was primarily available to active users, individuals in recovery, family members, significant others in an active user's or individual in recovery's life, from pilot sites that are scattered around the site. Mary's program in Lynn is one of them. It is still available through that means, but now it is available to anyone in the general public who wants it through their local pharmacies. You can go to any pharmacy with a naloxone standing order and request a kit. There's no prescription required. Pharmacies in Salem with these standing orders include all 4 CVS's, the Walgreens on New Derby Street and Boston Street, and Eaton Apothecary on Congress Street. Insurance can be used to pay for the kit. Co-payments, if you use your insurance, co-payments vary depending on insurance, but anyone can get their hands on it now. So what I'd like to do now is introduce Mary Wheeler, who is the Director of Healthy Streets in Lynn. Mary is a harm reduction specialist and is going to give you an overview of overdose risk factors, how to recognize an overdose, and how to respond, including how to administer naloxone.
Good evening. I've met a few of you. Thank you for having me. So I'm going to pass a couple things around while I talk. I just want to take, there's two brochures. One's about fentanyl and acetylfentanyl, and one is about pharmacy access naloxone. And then I'll leave my business cards up here if anybody's interested. My name is Mary Wheeler. I've worked for Healthy Streets for 11 years. I've been the program director for about 8. I've done naloxone distribution in Massachusetts since 2003, and Healthy Streets has been a pilot program under the state standing order since 2007. So I'm going to condense what should be half-hour to an hour-long training into about 5 minutes or so. So we have naloxone. Hydrochloride is the name of the drug. And what it does is it blocks opioids, bless you, for about 20 to 90 minutes. An overdose is we take too much of a drug, stops our body from functioning. With an opioid overdose, the first thing to go is our breathing. The second thing to go is our brain function. The last thing to go is our heartbeat. In order for naloxone to work, someone needs to have a heartbeat in order to move the medication around through the system, which means you want to respond to somebody who's not breathing almost immediately. The reason I hand out the brochure about acetylfentanyl is because it's complicating overdose prevention for us, because it is a fast-acting medication and it's really, really strong, and it causes something called wooden chest syndrome, which causes naloxone to work on the receptors but doesn't release the chest from being so tight. Wooden chest, the name wooden chest. So we have a lot of folks who are passing away from it because the Narcan is starting to work but they're unable to breathe. So we have a person with us who's using an opioid. We're not sure if they're overdosing, so we take a quick assessment. We look at them, are you okay? Are you all right? If I'm just high under the influence, I can hear you and I'll respond to you. I'll lift my head up if I'm gonna nod. I might have pinned pupils. If I am not well, you might see me turning pale. I might be clammy. Sweating is not necessarily a sign of life. If I'm turning blue or purple, my lips, my fingertips will start to turn blue. If I'm really dark-skinned, you can't tell from my lip, you can flip it down, look at my fingertips. They'll both be turning blue. If you hear me breathing, labored breathing, breathing once every 5 to 6 seconds is a sign of somebody who is in an overdose. Somebody who is gurgling, the death rattle, we call it. Somebody is struggling to breathe. If you see any of those signs, you want to give the person a sternal rub, chest noogie, right? 10 to 15 seconds, it's enough pain to sometimes bring somebody up out of the overdose. At that point, they still need a 911 call, but at least you have a baseline for where they're at. Right? If this doesn't work, the person is in serious trouble. We get on the phone with 911, and with somebody who's not breathing, it's possibly an opiate overdose. This is where we are. At that point, 911 can help you. They will walk you through the process. My experience, it's very complicated and stressful, so I choose to tell them where we are and hang up and wait for them to arrive. At that point, we have an individual in front of us who is not breathing. CPR regulations talk about chest compressions being priority, but for somebody who is overdosing on an opioid, they need oxygen. They hopefully have a heartbeat, so we want to do the rescue breathing portion. This is the naloxone kit. Neither we or the pharmacy access programs give a face shield or a breathing mask. So if you have your own, that's great. If you don't, the things that we tell folks to do if you're gonna go for the rescue breathing, pull the individual's shirt up over their face. It gives you a barrier. It's not great, but it's something better than nothing. You can poke a hole in your Narcan bag, dump the whole thing out, gives you a small face shield to go between you and the person. Chances are your instinct is going to kick in and you're just going to go for it. If I am foaming at the mouth, vomiting, or I have blood coming out of my nose because maybe I have fallen down from my overdose, you want to put me on my side in the recovery position. Administer the naloxone and wait for 911. If you're going to do the rescue breathing, we try and lay a person as flat as we can get them, hand on their forehead, 2 fingers under their chin, bless you, tilt their head back, pinch their nose, and open their mouth if you can. Sometimes when people overdose, it mimics a seizure. They tense up, their jaw clenches shut. At that point, we do not try and open someone's jaw. You can breathe up their nose, or like I said, put them in the recovery position. If we're gonna do the breathing, we've got the head tilted, pinch the nose, open the mouth, put your mouth on theirs. If you have a barrier, great. And 2 small breaths. Make sure their chest is rising and take your hands off, count to 5. Do it again, count to 5. I want to do 3 or 4 of these to keep that oxygen going. A body not breathing has about 3 minutes of oxygen in the blood before we have brain damage or brain death. We grab the medication, we open it up. We have a box and a tiny baggie. It's nice to do the demonstration when it's nice and calm. This is not how it actually goes down on scene. We have a small plastic device. We pop off yellow caps. We have a little white thing. We call it an atomizer. Twist it on the small end. Dealing with a lot of moms over the years who have Narcan their children, we teach people to put it together like this and put it back in the box. Because putting this on when you're scared and you're under pressure can be really difficult. The dose of Narcan is made of glass. You need to be careful when you pop the cap off. Slides in, twist in a half, you stick it up the individual's nostril and you spray half up one side and half up the other until your dose is totally empty. And we start breathing again. 1 breath, count to 5. We're gonna wait 2 to 3 minutes to see if the Narcan starts to work. If it's working, the person's color will come back and they'll start to come to. If it's not working after 2 to 3 minutes, you want to administer the second dose, continue rescue breathing, and wait for EMS to arrive.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you. First of all, thank you for all of your work. And this just tells me how much our first responders have to deal with on a daily basis, and more than daily basis for some of them in terms of EMTs, our firefighters, and our police officers that are out there. I have 2 questions. I think I know the answer, but I want to make sure that our public knows the answers to these questions. Number 1, can someone be hurt by having administration of Narcan if I choose to do it and they didn't need it? Will that hurt them by me administering the Narcan?
Good question. No. So the only thing Narcan is good for is for reversing the effects of an opioid or of an opioid overdose. So if someone is with you unconscious, they've been drinking and doing an antipsychotic like a Klonopin, and you Narcan them, nothing is going to happen, but now you've ruled out that this person is overdosing on an opioid. It's actually safer to Narcan somebody by accident than it is to accidentally give someone an EpiPen. You can't get high off it either.
My second question is, and you're not a legal authority, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. I would jump in, if as a good Samaritan, I would go in and I would try to help the person if I'm able to do so with administration of Narcan. For someone who is reluctant about stepping into a situation because they think that they might get some sort of liability by administering that, is there, to your knowledge, is there any liability? And I know we have our assistant city solicitor who happens to be present. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not going to say it with legal authority, that we would be absolved of that if we're actually trying to do that. But for me, I'm going to do it, and I think most people would. But for those who are reluctant about stepping in because of a liability issue, that's my other question.
So in Massachusetts, if you have a prescription, doctors are protected to prescribe you the medication knowing you're going to use it on someone else. So the doctors are protected to provide you the paper script you turn into the pharmacy. The standing order covers the naloxone, also knowing that you may use it on someone else. And once you're given the prescription through the pilot program, our standing order also protects you. So the whole basis of the Massachusetts pilot program is I'm giving you naloxone knowing you're going to use it on another person. The one thing we are waiting to see is if it's the opposite. If you have naloxone and you don't use it, are you going to be held liable? So we've been discussing that with sober housing and drug treatment programs that refuse to stock the medication on scene in case they have an overdose in their facility. And our response is usually if you have access, training, education, and you choose not to use it, you could run a risk. But in Massachusetts, we're very protected to administer naloxone to someone who's overdosing, and there's been an addition to the Good Samaritan bill specifically for overdoses to encourage people to call 911, which is the Good Samaritan bill. So folks cannot be charged with simple possession or a charge called knowingly being present where drugs are kept. You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other members of the council have questions? Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make sure that people know what the recovery position is and how to get someone there. I'm actually a lifeguard. Yes. So you would put one arm up, and you'd put one arm across the chest, and then you'd pull the person closer to you, and that way they will hold themselves up.
Sometimes we do it. Wendy offered to be our recovery. We'll put somebody in the recovery position, but this is kind of small. So we decided to not have her lay down. But that's a very important position to put folks in, especially if they have anything coming out of their mouth.
Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for being here tonight. This has been
Thanks for having us.
very good. A lot of information really fast.
Sorry.
And hopefully it's in slow motion on TV so we can learn it again. You mentioned, or one of you mentioned, that the age group is 25 to 35 years old, where the majority is happening. I mean, I'm kind of curious, through the president, why is that? And I have 3 sons that are in that age bracket. And as a parent, I thought I was off the hook. They went through high school, college, and now we have another issue. Why is that such an older group when I would think, without knowing the issue better, that it would be more, 17 to 25, a younger group?
That's a very complicated and kind of long-winded answer, so I'm going to try and give you my best. So we have 25 to 35-year-olds, and maybe you want to come up and comment on this as well. We're also seeing a huge spike of overdose fatalities between the ages of 35 and 55. About maybe the last 10 overdose reports we've received in Lynn are all over the age of 35. So we have a couple things. We have folks that have switched, have been using long-term in that age bracket. They started with OxyContin in the late 90s, and now they have been injecting heroin for many, many years. So their bodies may not be as healthy. We have over 1,000 new cases of hepatitis C between 15 and 24-year-olds in Massachusetts every year, and that's an old statistic. So we have folks who've been diagnosed with hepatitis C since the age of 18 or 19. We have people who are 35 using drugs that may have started when they were 12, so they have a 23-year drug history. Doesn't start when they start using heroin. We have people who might think they're very drug savvy, think they know everything, so they might take more risks. They may have overdosed before, which puts them at risk to overdose again. We have fentanyl added into the mix, and we have higher purity rates in heroin. So there's a whole, there's a lot of reasons. A lot of people are going to jail, coming out after incarceration, dying in that age group, leaving treatment, dying in that age group. Want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that 25 to 35 age group, that's where we're seeing the numbers in terms of if you bar graph, the age group of the overdoses, the highest numbers are in that range. The highest risk age group now for developing, or the age group in which heroin use and opioid misuse is growing the fastest is in that 18 to 25 age range. So by the time they're getting into their mid-20s, they're beginning to experiment more, and like Mary said, they are taking more chances. The thing is that it's important not to think that we ever really dodged that bullet just because our kids are maybe in their 20s already, because this is something that could conceivably happen to any one of us. You could have an injury, you could be prescribed a narcotic, and you could be on it for a long period of time for whatever reason, and then become addicted to it. 75% of heroin users now indicate that they started with prescription opioids, whether they were abusing them or they were prescribed them legitimately and became addicted. And so many people are getting cut off of them because of all the pressure on the medical community to look at their prescribing practices. There are a lot of doctors who are just saying, I'm not going to prescribe anymore, or I'm not going to give these to you anymore. And the greatest fear of anyone who is addicted to any kind of opiate is withdrawal, because withdrawal happens very quickly. As soon as the drug starts to wear off, they begin to experience withdrawal, which is probably the most horrendous case of the flu you can imagine. times 10. So I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. But what was I talking about?
We can talk a little bit about, so one of the unintended consequences of cutting back on prescription opioids is that we've seen a huge spike in heroin use. So there was individuals kind of in that age group, maybe a little bit older, were cut off their opioid prescriptions with no treatment and no follow-up, no weaning, no substitution therapy. So we do a detox group every Tuesday. So we saw a huge influx of people who were new heroin users over the age of 30 because they were cut off prescription opioids abruptly with an addiction problem. When there's no pharmaceuticals available and people are trying opioids, it's increased the amount of heroin in the street because it's decreased the amount of pharmaceutical opioids, and prohibition doesn't help the problem. I don't know, that's kind of a lot of answers for.
And of course, the risk of overdose with heroin is greater because it's a more unpredictable product. So people generally don't know what they're using. They don't know what the heroin is cut with. They don't know the potency. If they go to a dealer they don't customarily buy from, they have no idea what the product is. And one of the harm reduction strategies is to encourage people, if you're going to use the same dealer, because then you know what you're doing. And it's all about, I mean, I know people say, what are you telling them this for? But it's really about reducing the harm that they're causing themselves, reducing the likelihood of overdose, if at all possible. And again, it's just we're buying time until we can get them to the next level. So I hope that answers your question.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. One last thing that I forgot to do the first time I stood up is a reminder, whenever we talk about opiate addiction, for the families and partners and spouses of folks who are dealing with opiate addiction. We have here in Salem a support group called Learn to Cope. And they meet, I believe, and confirm this if I'm wrong, every Thursday at Salem Hospital.
From 7 to 9 in Davenport 1. And Learn to Cope is a non-12-step peer-run group. They're also a Narcan pilot program. So they have parent facilitators who, if you're a parent at the meeting and you want a Narcan kit, another parent will train you how to use it, and they'll hand you the kit at the meeting for free. You also have a GRASP group that meets the first Thursday of every month, which is grief recovery after a substance passing, also on the Salem Hospital campus. And it's a specific support group for people who have lost a loved one to overdose. So that also takes place, and that was the first one in Massachusetts, started here in Salem. So,
if I may, we also have developed a resource page at salem.com/opiates with links to many of these resources. So anyone can go and visit our webpage and access these resources themselves.
Thank you very much. Any other councilors have questions of these?
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in to teach us about this. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we go back to, I believe, page 3 of our regular agenda.
Do you want to take care of, did you want to take care of the committee report first?
Oh, sure. Should we do that? Okay.
Pardon? I know.
Or should we do that?
Pardon?
We've got the petitions. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to do that?
Whatever works. You guys,
Karen's up first.
yeah, we can do the.
That's fine?
Sure, it's fine.
Okay, then I ask that we move to.
Go back to 3 is fine.
I'm sorry?
We do the hearing thing because we do have everybody here, so.
Okay, do the hearing
Yeah.
first? Okay, then we continue on page 3.
All right, Councilor Gerard moves that we return back to our regular order to page 3. Seeing no objections. Hearings.
Order that Extenet Systems to install a conduit on Lafayette Street and New Derby Street and construct and maintain telecommunications, including fiber optic cable, a remote node, and pole top antennas to one existing pole located in and across and over the same public way.
Do we have anybody here speaking in favor of this?
Yes, good evening, Mr. President. members of the council. My name is Daniel Glissman. I'm an attorney with Prince LaBelle Ty in Boston, and I'm here on behalf of Extenet. Just want to say it's difficult to follow behind the heels of such an important topic as the opiate epidemic, but I'll do my best. As I said, my name is Daniel Glissman. I'm an attorney at Prince LaBelle Ty. We represent Extenet Systems, Inc. Extenet's proposing an additional node to extend their existing wireless DAS network. This proposed node is at the intersection of New Derby Street and Lafayette. They currently have 3 existing nodes, and they would like to add this 4th node to extend the coverage. They have a capacity issue at that intersection, so this node will specifically address that capacity need for T-Mobile, their client. I'm not sure how much the council members know about DAS networks, but I'll just give a brief overview. A DAS network is a low-powered wireless network designed to augment existing cellular signals, so it should give you better service and more data on your cell phones if you're a T-Mobile carrier. Don't have too much else to report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So, questions? This one is, Councilor Gerard, do you have any questions, or?
No.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. When we last met on your one application here, it became evident that a substantial section of Lafayette Street, approximately 2.5 blocks, would be dug up for this project, and that the antenna, if you would, was relatively close to the building at the corner of Lafayette and New Derby, but on the Lafayette Street side, I believe it was, right around the corner. And I had pointed out that, just a few feet away, rather than digging up 2.5 blocks of the public way, about 2.5 feet away from the pole in question, there's existing city conduit right there. That I had previously put in 25 years ago, so I know it's there. And I had asked you to explore that for possible use of that conduit rather than digging up 2.5 blocks.
Yes, it's my understanding that the engineers did in fact look into that specific cable, but the only fiber that's available for us to lease is at the manhole, which is approximately 500 feet down the street to the south from our location. So I'm not exactly aware of the details, but to my knowledge, the only available fiber optics for us to lease is down the street.
Councilor Dibble, is that Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. Which side of the intersection are we on? Just like, it says Council Turris, so I'm assuming we're on, are we closer to like Orange Leaf, or? Are we,
exactly.
So you're on Orange Leaf?
Just right in front of that.
Okay. I was just double checking. And I guess my only other question would be, is it specific to that intersection, or would it help you with your 500 feet if, because I know there's some concerns with other poll locations, and you're, I mean, by far, and no disrespect to any other people in the room, your initial presentation, your poll was all very kind of stealth looking, very clean. I guess my only question is, would it matter to you that if you moved across the street towards like the fire station, there's like a couple of light poles down there, would that help you with your 500 feet getting closer to a manhole, not digging up as much? The only reason I say it is because there's been some concerns about, and I know because of FCC regulations and transmission waves and all that stuff, 1997 or 88, whatever the ruling came out, we can't talk about them because they've ruled that they're not immaterial or whatever, but we can move it closer to the firehouse. We own the firehouse. Those guys are in and out all the time. They don't live there 24/7. Not the same guys anyway, all the time. So would it help that if we moved across the street? Just a curious question.
The fire station is on the other side of the intersection, further away from the dig that we're proposing, so it would make it longer. And it's also my understanding that we did look to the fire station corner to propose potentially a new vertical element there, but the sidewalk is sort of narrow there, and the the fire department was not interested in having an additional vertical element because we can't install on any of the existing poles or replace any poles on that corner. Also, this pole that we are replacing is the only gray pole in that nice intersection there, so we'll be replacing it and switching it up to a black pole, which will go better with the intersection.
Thank you. Councilor Dibble?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Like with our committee meeting on this, we need to make sure that the bolt circle and the thread and the nuts that hold up that light are to the city standard. That with regard to digging up Lafayette Street, I believe that you're coming from the other side of Lafayette Street, the St. Joseph side of Lafayette Street, and coming down and then going diagonally across to Orange Leaf. But that's still 2.5 blocks, whatever the math is. Question, as the good counselor from Ward 1 just mentioned, maybe looking at the other side of the street, well, let me ask the same question, but the other side of Lafayette Street from Orange Leaf, there's not windows and people sitting right there. Across the way where the bank is, the building is much shorter. You wouldn't have these directly outside of windows, and you wouldn't have to dig up diagonally across Lafayette Street, but you would go maybe a trench along the gutter line or wherever the line might be. A lot shorter distance, a lot less inconvenience to traffic, and a location that's not right outside somebody's window, literally 6.5 feet or 7 feet away from their windows.
We have looked at the pole that's directly outside of the Beverly Bank, and that would be a possibility should the council request. We believe we will be able to replace and install on that new pole. So you're right, we wouldn't have to trench directly across the street. We are trenching along the Beverly Bank side, and then as it's proposed now, we'll then come across the street to the Orange Leaf site, but should the council request it, we'd be happy to move the installation across the street.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you. What's the maximum height of yours? I'm sorry, I don't have it right there. You say it's the remote node on the pole antenna. What will be the street to the top of this pole?
The maximum height is 29 feet 10 inches. That would be to the top of the antenna, and then to the top of the pole is 25 feet 6 inches. So the antenna and its additional mounting bracket add an additional 4 feet.
Thank you.
Councilor Famico.
And through you, Mr. President, to the Assistant City Solicitor, if I may. We had discussion at our committee meeting the other night as far as replacing poles and who would maintain ownership. Did we come up with a solution to that?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Yes. Or suspend the rules to allow the Assistant City Solicitor to speak. Seeing no
Good
objection.
evening. Thanks, Councilor Famico. We will be asking the council if they are to grant the locations presented by these petitions to make any grant conditional upon the execution of the appropriate agreements. These agreements would include terms that would require the city ownership of any poles or replacement poles that are going to be installed.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I knew that answer. I just wanted to make sure it was on public record as well. Thank you for that.
Any further questions for the petitioner? Anybody else in the chamber wish to speak in favor of this proposal? Does anybody wish to speak opposed to this proposal? Seeing none, then I'd say, Councilor Gerard?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the hearing be closed.
Councilor Gerard moves the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. And in this case, Councilor Famico, I'll let you move to conditions. You know the conditions, so.
I move this be granted conditional upon entering into the pole attachment agreement and/or the right-of-way agreement as required. I also ask that the company first look at the Beverly Cooperative Bank location prior and to get back to our engineering department and Assistant City Solicitor with that information.
Councilor Dibble.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to offer a friendly amendment to our good counselor, the board too, that the applicant be subject to meet with our city engineer as well, and that the proposal meet the city standards for both circles and everything else, so that we have one system working in the city. I'm not sure if we're taking down a light pole at this one application, replacing it with something else, but we need to make sure that we're not having different pieces being located all around the city, that if the light comes down and it's replaced, and the city team, city electrical department cannot make the repairs to that light. So we have to wait for these folks to come back.
Councilor Formica, I believe, has the answer on that.
And I just double checked this once again with the assistant city solicitor, if there's a suspension allowed, if that would be also part of the agreement that we're tying together. So the whole part with the engineering, electric department, planning, so on and so forth. Correct. Great.
So, Councilor Dibble.
Again, thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify, what we're voting on here, is it, the location of it is in question. Are we voting on the green leaf side, excuse me, the orange leaf side of Lafayette, or are we voting on the other side?
We are, just to clarify on this, the way this hearing is sort of structured, we are voting to give approval if so needed. The grant for approval for the conduit and for the location that is at Orange Leaf. We're also saying in this that we would prefer that they build this at the Beverly Bank location, and pretty much all the by saying that, pretty much all the permits that have to be issued then by the city departments, as I understand it, would be contingent on that final location. So by doing it this way, if I understand this correctly, we are saying that basically the city departments will make that final determination as to which one of these locations that they are allowed to use. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But.
That's correct. You could possibly amend it to require the Beverly location, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I speaking for myself, I trust the engineering and electrical departments to evaluate these and decide correctly as to whatever the best location is for service, safety, and convenience. So I don't think we need to change it to force that location. I trust them to do it as necessary.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Councilor Formica, Councilor McCarthy?
Yeah, just to clarify, the hearing started in Ward 5, and now you've potentially tried to move the poll over to Ward 1, and I'm glad the Ward 7 council is weighing in on where he thinks the poll should go, but obviously the poll was chosen, the poll that they chose, well, I'm sure they just didn't haphazardly choose it. The one poll that they're looking at is in the Ward 5 side, happens to be, as stated, the only poll that doesn't fit. It's the last spun aluminum pole down there. Everything else is black wrought iron, and so they want to take the opportunity, they look to take the opportunity, whether or not they traverse across Lafayette Street, and trust me, I don't want to inconvenience traffic. Traffic downtown has been inconvenienced enough. If it works out that it is an easier solution and it is amenable to all the city departments, yes. But at the same time, if we're getting a double bang for our buck, that we get an old spun aluminum pole out, and it's going to take them one day to trench across the street, I think that works as well. So I agree with, as stated from the Ward 5 Council, from the presidential chair, is that I have no problem granting the poll location at either location as long as at some point John Giotti reaches out to one of us and says, hey Bob, or hey Josh, this is what we've decided and this is why. I don't have an issue with it, so.
Okay, so on Councilor Formica's motion that this be granted subject to the conditions that the city has arranged, as she just stated, and I don't have memorized. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Further hearing.
We have an order from Mobility LLC to attach equipment on existing pole on Summer Street.
Appearing in favor.
Ready for this?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Brian Grossman. I'm an attorney with Anderson & Krieger. We represent the applicant, Mobility LLC. I do have other members of the Mobility team here if there are questions for them. At the prior hearing for the full city council, which I was not present, there are now only 4 applications before you in terms of Mobility's prior proposal, which included some other nodes that have been withdrawn. So the only addresses we're working with are 248 Washington Street, 23 Summer Street, 23 Congress Street. Those 3 are now proposed street light pole replacements, and I'll detail that a little bit. And then the last one is the Highland Ave and Route 107. That's a wood pole in front of the storage opposite the Walmart parking lot. Those are the only 4 that we're dealing with.
Just for the record, right now, we're specifically on Summer Street.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So for Summer Street, that is one of the pole replacements. It's an existing light pole. The original proposal involved adding the attachments to the existing pole, and there was some cabling on the outside. Hearing feedback from the council and public, what we now propose to do, and we submitted those revised plans, is to replace that existing pole that'll allow for more internal diameter space, to allow the cabling to be run internally. We've heard at committee, we heard the concern about ensuring that the bolt pattern is the same. We certainly work with the city through any agreement to ensure that we address that issue as well. And some of the other issues that were raised at the prior hearing, again, make sure to deal with in appropriate agreement. But that really is the only change to the proposal, is to run that cabling internally with the replacement pole.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the council? Or Councilor Fumiko.
Mr. President, through you, it was brought up by the good Ward 7 councilor at our committee meeting, and I thoroughly agree with him. I just want your word, actually, that the sidewalk is replaced in its entirety and we don't have a diagonal going through it after this work is done.
Yes, and it's not even, we're not even sure that whole area is in fact going to be trenched, but we did hear that concern. We certainly understand it. And we also understand from the engineering department that an opening permit would be required, and that would be a condition that they would impose, and that's something Mobility would agree to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody else in the chamber wish to speak in support of this?
I don't know if it's in support, but I'd like to see.
All right. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Bonnie Belair, 92 Wharf Street. I want to begin with a disclaimer. Mobility's local council and their Washington, D.C. council have cast aspersions on my intentions to comment on pole attachment applications. For the record, I work for American Tower. I've been employed with them as an attorney for 10 years. American Tower is a leading wireless infrastructure provider in the United States and internationally. American Tower has over 100,000 sites, and not one of them is a small cell pole attachment. American Tower does not have any application before the Salem City Council. American Tower does not have any interest in the small cell applications in Salem, but I do, as a 25-year resident in the city and an expert in the wireless industry. I want to be assured that wireless infrastructure and services are deployed responsibly and in the best interest of the city and its residents, that the infrastructure is safe and will not negatively impact the aesthetics of the city, and to that extent, I want to work with the city on the wireless regulations and guidelines that will provide protection while recognizing the need for speed to market for the carriers. My hope is that Salem begins a process to develop a wireless plan to make wireless infrastructure available to all residents and businesses within the city. I hope that the city continues to review the wireless process and examines each pole attachment application very carefully. The city attorneys have put a lot of effort into drafting these regulations, and recently I understand there have been some revisions that address some of my concerns that I mentioned earlier this week regarding height limits, structural reports, equipment modifications, separation limits. Someone brought up that the carriers all want their own poles and do not want to share with each other. This is opposite of the industry standard for co-location, and Salem regulations require co-locations. The Extenet application that you just heard Extenet is a neutral host provider and can accommodate other carriers on their poles. Every other carrier should have to demonstrate why they cannot use the Extenet pole or any other existing poles in the city. And lastly, I'd like to ask all of you to visit these installations after construction, the Extenet, the Mobility, and the Verizon, and decide which poles and equipment aesthetically fit into the city before we end up with a proliferation of poles. And in the committee meeting the other night, this is a photo sim of what could happen in our city if we're not vigilant and careful about these pole attachment applications. We want to be sure that we take the time necessary to make sure they're done in a responsible manner that is in the best interest of the city. Thank you.
Councilor Fumiko?
Thank you, Mr. President. And just for the record, we do have an ordinance in Ordinance License and Legal Affairs. There were a couple additions made after our committee meeting the other evening. And Ms. Belair and I spoke earlier about speaking with our Chief Information Officer to see if we can get a task force going with individuals to get a wireless plan for the city going forward.
Thank you. Any other members wish to speak in support? Councilor Dibble?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. On this location, I'm a little concerned, and basically through you, I'd like to ask a question of the applicant, if I may. In the hearings, we learned that the pole was some 12 feet or so away from a residential building, apartment building. And I'm wondering if the applicant, if they've looked at or considered possibly a better location that is not so close and outside of somebody's bedroom window.
On this particular application at its nearest, it's not actually outside a window, it's actually even more than 12 feet away. So we think this is an appropriate pole location, given its proximity to the building and its offset.
Mr. President, I asked at the committee meeting how far away it was, and I was told it was 12 feet away.
We said it was no closer than 12 feet away. I apologize if I wasn't clear on that. It's no closer than 12 feet away.
Then how far away is it? Approximately.
Which number? 928. It's got to be over 20 feet.
It's half the distance of the width of the street. I can basically, if I had a scale, I could give you what that would be, but it's just a general perspective, it's half the distance of the width of the street.
It's gonna be about 18 feet.
18 feet?
Okay, I would agree with that. Thank you, Mr. President.
We're still in public hearing, so we don't have to suspend the rules, so.
Just want to let members of the council know that we have distributed the revised petitions to planning, to engineering, to IT, and planning had no comments on this application, other than, assuring that all attachments were going to be of the same color as the pole, and didn't raise any other concerns. Not to say that you might have different concerns, but I just want to let you know that we went through that process within the departments and had them look at each of the petitions. Okay?
Thank you. Any other questions or comment by members of the council? Does anybody in the audience wish to speak specifically opposed to this? Seeing none, Councilor Fumiko?
Mr. President, I move the public hearing be closed.
Councilor Fumiko moves the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Fumiko.
I further move this be approved, condition upon entering a pole attachment agreement and/or right-of-way agreement as required.
Councilor Fumiko moves that this be approved pending, subject to attachment agreements and compliance with our regulations that we're in the process of completing as required. Any further discussion? Counselor Dibble?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. I just want to make it clear that I'm against this one location. It's simply just too close to residential dwelling.
Counselor Dibble will be opposed. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Counselor Dibble is recorded opposed. So moved. Further hearings.
We have an order from Mobility LLC to attach equipment to an existing pole between Pond Street and Washington Street.
In favor? Speaking in favor? Again, name and address for the record.
Again, Brian Grossman, Anderson and Krieger, on behalf of the applicant, Mobility LLC.
Say while you're getting that, I am personally rooting for a DAS vendor to provide AT&T service and locate it right at the corner of Lafayette and Holly. So if AT&T is listening, please come to my neighborhood. We get 2 bars at best at my house. I'd like more.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Again, Brian Grossman. Again, this is one of the pole replacement options. So again, this was an existing street light. Mobility proposes to replace the existing street light. It will look similar in terms of color. It will be painted to matches. The comments from planning, but it very much like the last application, it will be a pole replacement designed to accommodate the proposed equipment. It will look very similar to the proposed or the existing street light. We'll have an accommodation to make sure that we have the proper bolt pattern in the event that it ultimately needs to be replaced by the city. Again, the proposal has changed from running cabling outside to running the cabling inside, which is the reason for the streetlight replacement. One question that came up at committee and applies again to all of them is ensuring the consistency of the look of the lumières. The existing lumières will be repurposed, and so they will look consistent as well.
Any questions, members of the council, in regards to this? Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually have a question for you.
Yes?
Whereas we have the Dodge Street development going in right there, and I see where the trench is being located, and I know we currently have utilities being moved in that location.
Mm-hmm.
Will this be impacted at all? Do you know?
I believe, given the location in question, I believe this will not be impacted because it's not immediately part of the complex where this is taking place. I don't have the copy of the plan that I had looked at before on this, but I don't recall it being part of this.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. It does look like the the excavation will take place in front of the development, but not the actual pole, which the pole will be directly in front of an apartment building.
All right, can whoever has the draft going turn that off? Thank you, whoever that was.
I'd just like to, through you, Mr. President, I'd like to ask how many feet away from the apartment building windows is this tower antenna?
Again, the plan doesn't have the exact distance, but we do have this particular distance is going to be that. That's the one I think that was the 12 feet. But it still will comply with the FCC regulations with regard to radio frequency emissions.
In my opinion, Mr. President, it looks like it's significantly less than 12 feet. It's less than the width of the sidewalk at that one application. So maybe it's 8 feet or so, I'm not sure. But it's again, on this one, I'll be against this project because it simply is too close to some child's bedroom window. Thank you.
Any other members have questions? Anybody else in the audience wish to speak in favor of it? Does anybody wish to speak opposed? Seeing none, although this is my word, I'll ask Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the public hearing be closed.
Councilor Famico moves the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Famico.
I further move this be approved conditional upon entering into a pole attachment agreement and/or right-of-way agreement as required.
So Councilor Famico moves that this be approved, subject to the right-of-way and/or pole agreement with the city as approved. See no further discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor Dibble is opposed. So moved. Further hearings.
We have an order from Mobility LLC to attach equipment to an existing pole between Highland Avenue and Clark Street.
Hearing in favor, once again.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Brian Grossman, Anderson Krieger, on behalf of Mobility LLC. Again, this is one of the 3 pole replacements. So again, the pole would be replaced to allow the cabling to be run inside. The bolt pattern would be the same. We'd work on that through the agreement. The pole will look generally similar to the other poles in the area. The lumiere will be repurposed, so it will look consistent, and the equipment will be painted to match the existing pole.
This is the Highland Avenue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any members of council questions to this?
It's the wooden pole.
Councilor Dibble.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is one application that we didn't get plans for, but I need to ask, how far away is the closest resident building to this pole? I believe it's much further than these other locations.
So I apologize, I misspoke. This is the existing wooden pole across from the Walmart parking lot near the public storage.
So there are no residential buildings?
So there's no residential buildings right there. The Walmart's across the street. The self-storage is the closest building. This one, you didn't get revised plans, but it's the one that didn't get revised. It's the only one that carried through as originally proposed. We're not going to propose to replace the wood pole.
This will be one that I'll be supporting tonight.
There we go.
My apologies to the council.
So anybody else in the chamber wish to speak in support of this? Does anybody wish to speak opposed? Seeing none. Councilor Lovely.
Move the hearing be closed.
Councilor Lovely moves the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Lovely.
Move approval.
Councilor Lovely moves that this be approved, subject to terms and conditions. All those, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Unanimous. Further hearings.
We ordered the Mobility LLC to attach equipment to an existing pole between Pickering Way and Congress Street.
And you're still up here, sir.
Last one. Brian Grossman, Anderson Krieger, on behalf of Mobility LLC. This one is the streetlight replacement. So the lumiere will be repurposed, the pole will be replaced, the equipment will be painted to match. We'll deal with the bolt pattern. This one is across from the nearest building is the Eastern Bank. It's a 1.5-story building or so. So there's not a residential structure nearby.
Any questions, members of the council? Anybody in the chamber wish to speak in support? Anybody wish to speak opposed? Seeing none, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the hearing be closed.
Councilor McCarthy moves the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor McCarthy.
I further move that the petition be granted, subject to all the conditions we talked about earlier.
Councilor McCarthy moves that this be granted, subject to all the conditions we've put to all these previous ones. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further hearings.
We have an order from Celco Partnership DBA Verizon Wireless to locate small cell wireless antennas and the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures on an existing utility pole located on a public way near 81 Highland Avenue.
Hearing in favor.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Chris Swiniarski. I'm an attorney with McLean Middleton, here representing my client Verizon Wireless. The proposal we have for you is a little bit different than those who've come before you, as we explained in, I think, significant detail in the committee hearing a week or two ago. What we're doing has a similar purpose, but what it is a single canister antenna designed specifically to look like an existing electrical transformer. As you can see in the plans, it's relatively the same size, possibly a little bit smaller. It's painted the same color. In this instance, it goes on top of the pole. It's literally this big. It's 24 inches tall. It's 15 inches in diameter. There are also junction boxes, a radio unit, and a power cutoff on the pole as well, and those are flush mounted to the pole at a lower level. Electrical meter, and this ties into the existing fiber in the street. So really what this is a way for us to meet a very concentrated and pinpointed demand for service. And as I explained in the committee meeting before, the phenomenon that we're seeing in the telecommunications industry right now is a very increased demand for bandwidth or capacity. In the past, people used their mobile devices to make phone calls. That didn't take a lot of bandwidth from the network. As I explained before, right now everybody has a computer in their pocket. You don't actually use it to make phone calls all that often. You use it to do computing functions. That takes a lot more bandwidth, and that's the demand that we're seeing right now. These particular types of installations are designed to let us meet that demand in a very, very discrete way and to put it in a very, very specific spot without creating facilities in other areas of the city where the residents might not be demanding it. So it's really a very aesthetically pleasing way to meet the demand of the residents without creating really any visual impact at all.
Okay. Any members have questions for the applicant? Does anybody in the chamber wish to speak in support? Anybody wish to speak opposed? Seeing none. Councilor Lovely.
Move the hearing be closed.
Councilor Lovely moves the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Lovely.
Move approval.
Councilor Lovely moves that the application be approved. Again, subject to terms and conditions. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further hearings?
We have an order from National Grid to install conduits on Washington Street at Dodge Street.
Hearing in favor from National Grid?
New.
Thank you. Name and address for the record.
Sabita Mahaber, representing National Grid, 44 River Street, Beverly, Massachusetts. This is to facilitate the development of the property at Washington Street and Dodge Street and to relocate our existing underground facilities so that you can do so.
Any questions, members of the council? I'm familiar with this one. Councilor Famico?
And I'm sorry to put you on the spot for this, through you, Mr. President. Is this the work that was done 2 nights ago, prior to approval?
No.
Okay. Just confirming, we had a very upset resident, and I just wanted to make sure we're in the clear this time.
No, that was totally different.
Thank you for that, then I have no problem, and thank you for going about it the right way this time.
Councilor Epley.
Sorry about that.
I'm gonna put you on the spot as well, and it's not your fault. But you have the National Grid has a property in the Point that is very much not maintained and needs to be maintained. I'm going to ask if we can, at the end of this, to move this to committee so that we can get a message to National Grid to clean up their property. I don't remember the exact address on this, but this is this was brought to my attention by former Councilor Bill Legault, that in fact there is a property that's been beyond, it's not been maintained. So I'm looking at the Ward 1 councilor for this, and that's why I'm asking.
Street.
Yes, thank you. And so I'm going to ask if the council will indulge me that this go to committee for us to take up at a different time once we get an assurance from National Grid that that property will be maintained.
Councilor Sargent, may I ask you for a second? Sorry.
Chair recognizes Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I say, I do not support linking these two. I would be very supportive of an order having National Grid come in here to discuss that situation, but I also know that the work that's going on there, especially with all the work that's going on in the ground right now and their schedule to get out of the utility work, is fairly tight. So I really don't want to link the two projects together because we don't know when we're going to be able to go further. I would be very supportive of an order to have National Grid come in here to discuss that plan because the Peabody Street site is very much an eyesore. But this is necessary in order to support the continued utility work that's taking place in that whole area right now. And the sooner all that utility work is done, the sooner that the barriers there go away and the construction project begin and we get all the lanes back. And so I really want to keep this moving forward. So I would not be supportive of a move to committee on this. I would ask that the petition be approved and we do a separate matter to bring them in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Torrio. Any
further questions from councilors? Anybody else in the room wish to speak in favor of this? Does anybody wish to speak opposed? Seeing none. Councilor Gerard?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the public hearing be closed.
Councilor Gerard moves the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Gerard?
Thank you, Mr.
I've recognized her already. So Councilor Gerard, and then I already recognize you, so go ahead. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I move that this be approved.
Councilor Gerard moves this be granted. Councilor Epley?
I would actually move to table.
Councilor Epley wishes to move to table. Vote on that. That's not debatable. All those in favor? Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. The motion to table does not carry. Councilor Epley?
Mr. President, I move that this matter be moved to the Committee on Government Services.
Councilor Epley moves that this be referred to the Committee on Government Services. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask, just for clarification, what is it that we're asking to move to Government Services? His recommendation that we bring National Grid in for a committee meeting relative to their property on Peabody Street, or the matter that's currently in front of us?
Councilor Epley?
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, technically, the only thing that's before us is this installation of conduits. That's what's before us. But as I mentioned earlier, I think that it would, this matter could get resolved outside of an order in very quick dispatch within the next 2 weeks. And if this moves to Government Services, there could be a quick committee meeting referring it back to the, presuming that the body moves it there. There could be a very quick committee meeting. The Peabody project, the Peabody property could be cleaned up within the next 2 weeks. And then we could be back here 2 weeks from now approving this conduit installation. I think it should be linked.
Councilor Ryan?
I just want to say that two separate issues. I know that site, that where Winnie's is, that was the power plant. And that is, I don't think it's like the power plant, that thing ain't going anywhere, those transmission lines. As far as cleaning up, I don't think you should hold this hostage. You should bring a separate issue and have them come in. Because I know that site, we used to own the parking lot between the two, so I know what that area is, and it needs to be cleaned up, but it shouldn't be on this. There should be a separate issue brought up and then ask them to come in.
Councilor Lopez?
Just, has this been addressed with National Grid and we've got no response? Because I've always found National Grid to be very responsive for cleaning up, cutting, doing whatever, and I know the former Ward 3 Councilor Lovely would make a phone call and work with the individuals there, and they were very responsive. So if they were not responsive, I could support your order, but I've always found them very responsive to take care of things in Ward 3 back many years ago, and I think that's always been the case. Make a phone call. If we don't get results, give the state senator a call. She'll take care of it.
Councilor McCarthy?
I was staying silent on this. I already made the phone call this week. This was brought to my attention by Grid because of a posting on some website someplace. And they called me and they basically, and I said, you guys just gotta, work to do this. And they said, we'll take, I'm gonna have more conversations with them, but this is already in the works. And so this needs, I don't agree with this goes back to when we tried to, every time they came in for a petition about trying to remove all the double poles in the city. You can't, the work in front of us needs to get done to keep a project moving, because I can't tell you, if I try to make my way over to Palmer Cove one more time to watch my kid play baseball and get stuck in traffic around Raleigh Plaza because of that construction site, I want that thing gone, no offense. I want the lane pushed back and just to get my traffic flowing again. So I think, with all due respect, I think they are two separate issues, and I've already had initial conversation. I'm waiting to make a call a little higher up the chain, so to speak, but we'll get this resolved.
Okay. Councilor Epley, you want to vote on the motion? Do you want to withdraw?
With what the Ward 1 councilor said with that conversation, then I'm happy with that, so I'm happy to withdraw my motion.
Withdraws his motion, so the motion on the floor is for approval. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. So I would ask, I know we have one other group here, I know from outside. And I'd ask if somebody could move to go to page 19 and
I move that
go back.
we go out of order yet again to page 19 to the recommended communication from the planning board.
So Councilor Fumiko moves that we go out of order one more time to page 19, communications to city officials.
We have a communication from the planning board submitting the recommendation relative to a zoning ordinance amendment for section 10-0, definition for tasting room.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the recommendation from the planning board be received and filed.
Councilor McCarthy moves that this be received and filed. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also further move for first passage.
Councilor McCarthy also moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion.
Under discussion, my only question would be, was the ordinance amended by the zoning board as it came back to us?
Planning board.
Planning board, I'm sorry. Planning board as it came back from us? If so, then I would, whatever the planning board, I mean, just for a brief, 2 weeks ago, approximately 2 weeks ago, we came here for a joint public hearing between the planning board and the city council, of which time the question revolved around the breweries, the local breweries, with regards to square footage. 33% of their area could be a tasting room so they could taste and show their product, and they wanted to increase that to 50%. We had a hearing on that, and after we closed the hearing, it was sent to the planning board, and their recommendation was sent back to us. So I believe it came back in the same order in which we sent it.
Yeah, I have the language that I can read into the record as
If you would,
adopted by
please,
the
sir.
planning board. At its meeting on the April 21st, 2016, the planning board voted to recommend approval of amending the City of Salem zoning ordinance section 10.0 definition of a tasting room by deleting a tasting room may not be greater than 33% of the main building's gross square footage and replacing it with a tasting room may not be greater than 50% of the main building's gross square footage. An exterior seasonal tasting area, e.g. patio or deck, shall not be included in calculating the tasting room square footage for purposes of zoning compliance. However, the square footage of seasonal tasting areas is applicable to building, sanitary, and other relevant codes. Also, this was adopted 7-0 by the planning board, and they also gave us 2 notes for future consideration based on the fact that they consider this an evolving issue. One is that the definition of main building should be clarified. Specifically, the board recommends that in a case in which there are multiple buildings on one site, cumulative gross square footage of all buildings should be used to calculate the percentage. And also, the percentage requirements are likely to be unnecessary given other regulatory oversight, and the planning board urges the city council to consider eliminating the percentage requirement in the future. So other than that, that is the language as adopted, and that's their notes back to us.
Thank you. And I want to thank the planning board for all their work and meeting on this. And so it is exactly what we said, what was exactly sent to them with their recommendations down the future. So it was what we talked about, 50%, and the outdoor seating there was no rules or regulations regard to outdoor seating. And I also want to commend the building inspector and his offices for making sure that outdoor seating, even though it's not part of the floor area of the inside of the building, it is considered part of their overall ability to serve the public. And at that point, they're also required to meet all the rules with regards to number of seats, how many bathrooms, and all the other factors that involve with that. So at this point, I would ask for adoption for first passage.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption for first passage, I believe we do this by roll call vote as it's a zillion, so could I have a show of hands for that? Show of hands for roll call vote, please. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Fumiko?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes. On the matter of the zoning ordinance change, as returned to the City Council by the Planning Board with their recommendation relative to the zoning ordinance amendment for Section 10.0 Definition for tasting room, 10 councilors present, 10 councilors voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries for first passage. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know I said one last time, but I would like to take out of order page 15 for the reappointments for our Community Preservation Act. We have one of those members in the audience right now.
Sure. Actually, Councilor Gerard is covering that for me.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, April 28, 2016, ordered that the City Council reappoint Ed Moriarty Jr. and Kevin Cornacchio as members of the Community Preservation Act Committee for a term to expire May 23, 2018. And I move for a confirmation by roll call vote.
Gerard moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Both of these members of our Community Preservation Committee have been fantastic, and we greatly appreciate their service to the city on this committee, and we hope that they continue for a very long time.
Note, these are the two members that were appointed by the City Council when the City Community Preservation Act Committee was first created. So this is the appointing body for that. That's why it appears where it does in the order. So, Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one more thing. It's pretty appropriate Mr. Moriarty is sitting below where one of our paintings is soon coming back. If anyone noticed online the other day, we had a photo taken of showing the work that's being done for that painting. But I'd also like to thank Mr. Moriarty for his patience this evening and joining us for all of our meeting, and also his commitment to the community in other ways. He's been quite involved and is always sending us different emails about events and things going on, and I thank him, and for also lending us his wife on many occasions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to rise for support of my fellow Ward 1 resident. Ed has done a wonderful job on the committee. I noticed earlier he was trying to put a picture of himself up on the wall. But he's done, in all seriousness, he's been a great addition to the committee. And just to follow up on the council presidents, when this was voted in part of the makeup of the committee is the council. The mayor appoints 2 residents and we appoint 2. So Mr. Moriarty and Mr. Kevin Cornacchio, because they're reappointments, they don't have to appear tonight, and I want to commend Mr. Moriarty for sitting out tonight and coming out and being on behalf. And if there's, even though it's not in the rules, if he wishes so to speak, because he say, okay, I would motion to waive the rules of law, Mr. Moriarty to address the council, if he so wishes, because he did stay for his reappointment.
Nope.
But if I'll leave it entirely up to him.
Yeah. So on the scene for discussion on the motion for reappointment by confirmation by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Absolutely, yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
I second the absolutely yes, yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Turiel?
Yes. On the reappointments of Ed Moriarty and Kevin Cornacchio to the Community Preservation Act Committee, 10 councilors present, 10 voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Famico.
Mr. President, I move we move back to page 11 and then take the agenda as what remains.
Councilor Famico moves we move back to page 11, get back into the rest of the appointments and reappointments. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. Appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of James Shea to serve as a member of the Salem Park and Recreation Commission with a term to expire May 1st, 2021.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Gerard moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank Mr. Shea again for his commitment to the Park and Recreation Commission. He actually attended our tree discussion that we had in my committee the other night, and his comments were greatly appreciated, and I'm grateful that we have him.
Thank you. Councilor Gerard's motion for confirmation by roll call vote. Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Turiel?
Yes. On the matter of the reappointment of James Shea to the Park and Recreation Commission, 10 councilors present, 10 voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of Rebecca Curran to serve as a member of the Salem Zoning Board of Appeals with a term to expire on May 1st, 2049.
I'm thinking 19.
19.
I love the job she's doing, and if she can serve that long, wonderful, but... On the corrected motion, Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Gerard moves for lifetime confirmation by roll call vote under discussion.
I think at that point I would be 74. So if I'm 74, I don't know how old she's going to be by then. But so I'm very glad that it's at least until 2019. We've been very fortunate to have Becky as our chair of the zoning board, and she does a fantastic job. And I'm glad that she's continuing.
Do you need a motion to change it to 2019? Or just?
No, it's on the original.
It's a
This is
Scrivener's error.
typo.
Okay, move the question.
All right, on Councilor Gerard's motion for confirmation by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Absolutely, yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes, absolutely.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yep. Had to go for that. On the matter of the reappointment of Rebecca Curran to the Zoning Board of Appeals, 10 councilors present, 10 voting, all in the affirmative, none in the negative, the matter carries. Communication for the mayor.
We have a transfer of $8,000 from the Council on Aging salaries full-time to Council on Aging activities.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move for adoption.
Councilor Epley moves for adoption. All those, actually move for suspension of the rules, I believe.
I move for suspension of the rules?
No?
No, because it's a
Okay.
transfer.
Okay,
So okay, moves for adoption, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, just to give a little bit of background, this was something that actually we brought in last meeting. Unfortunately, the accounts were switched the wrong direction in terms of the transfer. So it was a $4,000 transfer that we made the last time, but from the wrong account to the wrong account. We're switching that by correcting the 4,000, correcting the mistake that we just made 2 weeks ago, and then actually doing the correct transfer from the correct account to the right account, thus the $8,000. Everyone understands that? That's great.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So so I'd ask my colleagues to just simply vote yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further communication from the mayor.
We have an ordinance in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 20B. City Council approves exemption for city treasurer to serve part-time as district treasurer for Essex Technical and Agricultural School District.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption by roll call vote, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. We all have a letter from the mayor. Ms. McMahon is applied to work for a part-time job. As we all know, the Essex Tech or Essex Aggie, or whatever term they have for them now, Essex Tech, thank you. It's a wonderful school if anyone has a chance to be over there, but they are in need of a part-time person to do this working for the treasurer, and I think is stated in the mayor's letter, there's, according to Mass General Law, for her to be able to do that, since she currently holds a position with the city, she's agreed that it can't be more than 500 hours, and the mayor is confident that she can complete these tasks and be able to separate them from her job that she does for us for the city and what she'll be doing for the district. And as a side note, I agree with what the mayor said. She's a wealth of knowledge, and she's very good at her job, and she's going to be an asset to the district, and therefore will also be indirectly an asset to us because we're part of the district. So I don't have an issue with it, and I think it's, and the mayor doesn't, and I think that she'll be a nice fit, and I think that she'll be able to perform separate the two and be able to perform those tasks.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm in strong support of this for several reasons, all of which the Ward 1 councilor outlined. In addition, from fairly recent media reports concerning the finances of this particular school and budgetary purposes and the leadership of the school, I'm very heartened by the fact that one of our employees is going to help hopefully rein in some of those budgetary items. And I want to also just commend, because we're talking about the Tech and Aggie, our representative to the Board of Directors there, which is Tom St. Pierre. Tom has done a fantastic job in that capacity, and with both Tom there and now our city treasurer helping out in this limited capacity, I think it's a fantastic accomplishment.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion on Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes. On the order in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 20B, City Council approves an exemption for the city treasurer to serve part-time as district treasurer for Essex Technical and Agricultural School District. 10 councilors present, 10 voting, 10 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a resolution supporting Senate Bill 735 and House Bill 1577, which will extend those protections for gender identity to all residents and visitors of this Commonwealth.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. In our packet, we all have a copy of the resolution. If you want, I can read it, or if you want, someone can waive the reading, or... Thank you. It doesn't need to be said. I mean, as a very proud member of this body over the years, and we've taken the initiative as a No Place for Hate Committee, anti-discrimination. We as a group in the city have taken a leadership role in this, and I think that this resolution just backs that commitment to what we've already committed our city to do, and it's just asking that the state legislature to reinforce those commitments that we've made already in the past to continue to move forward as a statewide initiative, and so I would support this resolution.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm in complete agreement with my Ward 1 colleague. I would go on to say the last time that we addressed this, it was passed unanimously. And as Jeff Cohen had outlined in public comments at the beginning, our former colleague Joe O'Keefe really was a leader on this issue, and we should follow him. I also want to say that we should back up our state delegation in terms of Senator Lovely. She's been a fantastic ally on this issue, as has Representative Tucker. Representative Tucker has really helped bring police departments across the Commonwealth to actually lobby passage of this bill on the state level. So if we can pass this resolution and be one of the first communities to do that, just basically stressing to our governor and to the House and Senate leadership to get this passed, all the better.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Unanimous. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a resolution from the Commonwealth Diagnostics International, Inc. to purchase a building located at 1 Holyoke Square and to use a tax increment financing to encourage economic development.
Councilor Epley.
Mr. President, I move that this be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Epley moves that this be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. While I will be in support of this, I think that we've had questions in the past concerning TIFs. This is a great opportunity, if anyone has questions, to have those questions asked in committee. So that's the reason why I'm referring it to committee. And I'll just get ahead of myself and ask my colleague from Ward 2 on the next item if she could refer it to A&F as well, co-posted. I'd really appreciate it.
Thank you. On Councilor Epley's motion that this be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further communications from the mayor.
We have tax increment financing agreement with City of Salem and Commonwealth Diagnostic, Inc. for a period of 5 years.
Councilor Famiko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move this be referred to Administration and Finance, co-posted.
Councilor Famiko moves that this be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion?
Just a quick thing for anyone at home, this One Holyoke is the building located directly behind the post office, across from what was a 7-Eleven, and now it's a no-name convenience store. And so if anyone wanted to know the location we're talking about.
Councilor Milo and I know the building well. We spent a portion of our careers there. So on Councilor Famiko's motion, this be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Epley.
Let's find the right one. Okay.
One, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and the City Council, April 28, 2016, ordered that the monthly financial report dated March 31, 2016 be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance. I move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just standard referral, so just ask my colleagues to approve.
Councilor Epley's motion for adoption. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor, motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, April 28th, 2016, ordered that the year-to-date budget report dated January, February, and March 2016 be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance.
Under discussion.
No discussion.
Seeing no further discussion on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. For one more time tonight, I just ask that we take the agenda out of order and go to page 18 at the bottom for my committee report.
Councilor Gerard moves that we move to page 18, and I know why Councilor Gerard moves that we move to page 18, committee reports.
This is just so that the
Yes.
next
Yeah, so it goes correctly.
item on Councilor Epley's.
Seeing no objection, favor, opposed, so moved. Committee reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, April 28th, 2016. The Committee on Public Health, Safety, and the Environment, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of a citywide tree census and ongoing maintenance and long-term replacement plan, has considered said matter and would recommend the matter remain in committee and that an order for a task force be drafted and submitted.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a really fantastic committee meeting about the trees in Salem. We had great representation from the city as well as from various groups around the city. And what came out of it was, thankfully, my colleague, Councilor Epley, had volunteered to create an order to send back to committee, which we're going to hear in a little bit. And really this I'm trying to think of a good tree pun here that it
I believe Councilor Epley has them all.
I'm sure that it's fostering growth with the trees in Salem, and so this is the start of a long-term discussion that we're really excited for.
On adoption of the recommendation, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we return to the previous page or page 16, the top of page 16 on the agenda, please.
Councilor Gerard, moves that we return to our regular order in the agenda to the top of page 16, motions, orders, and resolutions. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, the City Council, April 28, 2016, ordered the Leaf-Oriented Resiliency and Arboricultural Expansion, or LORAX, Task Force shall be formed and charged with providing expert and resident input and recommendations for 1, a comprehensive citywide master plan for tree maintenance, replanting, and augmentation of our urban forest. 2, utility feasibility of citywide GPS tree inventory. 3, alternative resources for funding and in-kind donations. 4, identification of suggested and/or necessary staffing supplementation or realignment. And 5, identification of suggested and/or necessary ordinance changes. Specific areas of inquiry for the task force shall include flooding abatement, climate change responsiveness, and preference in planting successful native species. Members of the LORAX task force shall consist of the following number of folks. Mr. President, I first of all move to very briefly amend the order that was entered and filed on Tuesday. Kurt Reeder, who's a member of our planning board and is very interested in this project specifically, I had originally proposed him to chair the task force. He's not willing to chair the task force just because of out-of-state travel for his business, for his work. What I've asked for, and I've actually circulated among everyone, a very briefly amended version, which includes Mr. Reeder just as a member of the board, and that under the 2 members of the council to be appointed by the city council president, I propose adding with the president appointing one of these council members as chair of the task force. So it basically just changes the chair from Mr. Reeder to an appointment by you, Mr. President, of one of the 2 members that you select from our council. So I first of all will move to amend as I just outlined.
Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Gerard. Any further discussion on that as amended? So on adoption of the amendment to the ordinance, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will try to be brief. I did bring with me...
I must warn the audience that Councilor Epley has props.
I do have a prop tonight for those of you at home. This is a copy of the Lorax Dr. Seuss book. And there's, our Salem News reporter was busy taking a picture there. You can have an up-close picture a little later on, Dustin.
He wants it.
But the reason why I bring up the Lorax, and I have to give credit where credit is due, and that's the good counselor Jerry Ryan, one of our at-large counselors, for when I originally proposed this, you've got to bring up the Lorax or whatever, and he's absolutely right. So part of the reason why we've named it as we have is for that. It's tongue-in-cheek, and the purpose of it is to do this. It's just to basically get everyone excited and jazzed up about trees, because we've really fallen behind as a city in taking care of the trees that we have. We had a presentation as Councilor Gerard, Ward 6 Councilor and Chair of the Public Health, Safety and Environment Committee, can attest. We had our DPS workers come in, and Jason Silva presented some information to us that last year we cut down 200 and some trees, and rightfully so. There were safety concerns, and we need to absolutely address those. But we replaced them only with 88 last year. That's the wrong direction for the city in terms of making sure that we keep up our tree population. The other thing is, and I outlined in the task force, we've got to get our hands around, having a master plan, actually thinking about ahead of time what it is we're going to do with trees across the city. It's going to cost a little money, but it's not going to be, it's not something that will break the bank. Mr. Silva outlined that if we just get up to 0 in terms of replacing the trees that need to be placed, there's a long list of things that need to be done. That's going to cost about $250,000. That sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but we are going to be approving in a little bit $300,000 for police, and we're going to go through the budgetary process in just a couple of months, and we'll be passing what will essentially be $150,000 budget citywide. This is something that has to be addressed. We cannot, as a historical city, ignore what is also a living history, which is our trees. I'll be very brief on the Lorax, but there are 2 things that come from this. I am the Lorax, I speak for the trees. We should all speak for the trees, and there's one other line that comes toward the end that I really like. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Those are truer words can never be said about trees, about us helping to promote them. So I'm probably making a fool out of myself for bringing up the Lorax. There's someone who shall remain nameless who's dubbed me on this issue David Epleyseed. I'm willing to own that if that helps us get trees planted across the city. So with that, if people have any questions, please ask, or if you have any comments, obviously, please make them. But I would hope that we could pass this unanimously and get this going. We need to get this going ahead of time so that when the administration presents its budget, they're going to be presenting a request for a master plan tree study. I want us, and I think my colleague from Ward 7 also wants this, we need to help shape that. And so by getting this started now, that will help turn a new leaf and really, grow.
For the record, I did not dub that name upon you. I was not the person who did that.
No, it was not.
I agree with it thoroughly. Any further discussion?
Just a little bit.
Councilor Sargent.
Quickly, the main thing that the tree department needs is a new tree truck. It's not running that often because it runs into breakdowns, a lot of little nagging things that have to be out for a week, at a time, sometimes a month at a time. But the other thing is, I mean, with Dick Renard and Ron Malionic, the manpower was way down with cutting trees. And they did explain that a lot of trees, they told you how many trees they cut down, but not all of them were worth replacing. Part of it was thinning out the herd. Just places like Gallows, Soul Forest, River Park, trees grow wildly, and they don't grow as thick if they're too close together. So a good amount of these trees that they cut down, they explained, where they were thinning out things to make the other ones grow more stronger and more resilient. So they weren't going to replace all of them. And the other thing is the ones along the city streets are only in a small area. And you have to watch out. You can't just replant where you took the other one down. You have to stump first. Then you have to watch out for the gas line, the water line, the sewer line, the electric lines overhead. So you can't just plant a tree any place along the way. And they're pretty good at knowing when and where to do that. And if they do it in the wrong place, they have to worry about damaging people's lines. So, there's a lot that goes into this. And I think they're doing a pretty good job with the resources that they have, and we can always get a little better. So, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion for adoption of the Lorax Task Force. All those in favor?
Wait, whoa. I thought we were keeping this in committee and to continue to grow this.
No, your matter is in committee, and his was for adoption, the creating the task force.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did. On Councilor Epley's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Formico.
Thank you. City of Salem, in the year 2016, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking, limited time. Bridge Street in front of number 93 Bridge Street for a distance of 20 feet. Handicap parking only tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter.
Councilor, and your motion?
I move for adoption for first passage.
Councilor Formico moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Seeing no further discussion, on Councilor Formico's motion for adoption for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, April 28, 2016, ordered that the attached tag day application for Salem Little League for 5/8/16, 6/4/16, and 6/8/16 be granted.
McCarthy moves that these be granted. Any discussion?
Briefly, Mr. President, because of the nature of the timing of the first one for Little League, where it's on 5/8, it needed to come in as an order because we wouldn't have time to process it and then get it out in such a time that they could actually go out and tag. And for all of those who have ever seen the little guy, the little young men and women standing in front of various establishments, when you can, try to give them something. I mean, they are trying to raise money for uniforms, bats, whatever they're doing, and I've been through that process for a long time, and every time I see one of them, I try to put something in the can for them. But as a parent back then, I would have gladly given the money, and so my child wouldn't have to do that, but I understand the need for it, so I'd move for approval.
Councilor McCarthy's motion that this be granted. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Committee reports. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Flip the page, make sure I get the right one. City of Salem City Council, April 28, 2016, the Committee on License, Order, Legal Affairs, to whom is referred the matter of granting certain licenses, has considered said matter and recommend approval. See Worms Tag Days.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor, all those opposed, so moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
No discussion, Mr. President.
Seeing no further discussion, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor, all those opposed, so moved. Further committee reports. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, City Council, April 28, 2016, the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, to whom is referred the matter of an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Article 3 by adding a new section for telecommunication attachments, has considered said matter and recommend the matter remain in committee.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor, all those opposed, so moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a meeting this past week, and the Assistant City Solicitor joined us. Actually, she wasn't there. The city solicitor was there, but the assistant city solicitor has done a lot of work on this, as was evident from earlier this morning, this evening, with regards to the hearings on these. We're almost to the end with regards to this ordinance, with some recommendations that the committee had this past week. The assistant city solicitor has made those changes. Those changes are available. She sent them out to us today. I would hope to either have a meeting on this particular topic sometime by itself in the next 2 weeks, or just to take it up right prior to our next meeting and move this forward. If there's any other member of the council who's not a member of the committee who hasn't received the ordinance, please reach out to me, or I'll make sure the city clerk has it so that anyone can get it for their review. It's very comprehensive. It talks a lot about what we talked about tonight with regard to the hearings, with poles, boat locations, size, height, a lot of comprehensive stuff in there to make sure that we don't end up with a situation like what was alluded to earlier with a conglomeration of these poles. So I think it's I want to commend the city solicitor's office for their due diligence and their work on this, and I think it will go a long way to getting it done. But for right now, this matter shall remain in committee.
On adoption of the recommendation, any further discussion? Seeing none, on the adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor, all those opposed, so moved. Further committee reports. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, April 28, 2016. The Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of an ordinance amending traffic and parking, Section 2 only, relative to the appointment, title, and responsibilities of the Traffic and Parking Executive Director, has considered the matter and recommended that the matter be referred to the full council.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor, all those opposed, so moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. The matter, there was a lengthy discussion in committee. The will was to remove the matter out, but at the same time, the committee also talked about potentially moving the other issue. This ordinance was brought together as a package, both sides of it, this side relative to the director's positions and the other side relative to the parking commission that the mayor has considered. So there was a will to move the matter specifically for the parking director and the new title, years of appointment, and responsibilities, to move that out of committee, because that was the will in committee, in the Government Services Committee, about a month or so ago, is to move it because there seemed to be there was not as much reluctance, or there wasn't as many questions with regards to the position as they were with regards to the commission. So at that point, the ordinance was divided, which is kind of where we're at tonight. Is there's a divided ordinance where we're dealing with one part of it, but the other part's still up in limbo. So there was a will, if there could be a way, which there is a way, it would take someone to make a motion to move the matter of the other part of the ordinance, which is in government services, move that, vote that out of committee, refer that to the License, Order, Legal Affairs, join the two back, have a meeting in the next week or so prior to our next meeting to bundle the whole thing together, and then move it out at our next council meeting. So, as chair and a member of the Government Services Committee, I don't think that motion can come from me, so I'll sit back, but that's where we're at. The matter was recommended to come out of committee, and if there's a will to move something else, then I'll rescind my order, but I'll hear everyone else's input on this.
Councilor Fumiko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we move forward with the director position, but at the same time vote to move the other matter to Ordinance, License, Legal Affairs. I don't think we have to bundle the two to another meeting. I think we can go forward tonight with the director position. There is a need in the city for it. We need it for not even the budgeting, but we're long overdue to have this director. And I think the commission, there's still a lot of parts that need to be discussed. For those at home that haven't seen, I did post the proposed ordinance online for viewing, but the proposed ordinance goes above and beyond just managing the municipal parking garages. It's also looking at traffic calming, complete streets, and just overall traffic and parking design. Typically, someone that has this role in other cities is a civil engineer or a transportation planner. So there's a little bit more expertise that goes along with that, but I don't see the need to put both of these into the committee in the next couple weeks. I think we can move forward with the director and refer the other out.
Councilor Milo.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the committee meeting, I know the mayor did mention that if we did move the second half of it, or I think it's actually the first part of it, that addresses the commission, if we could move it out of committee to the floor and then back to committee to address both at the same time, we're talking like a couple weeks versus a month. I would prefer to see that happen, actually. So I'm prepared to make the motion to bring the first half out of committee so that we can vote on that, to couple the two and then bring them back to Ola. And, but I don't know if we have to.
Well, I believe we will have to actually vote that out of government services at a government services meeting. I'm not sure on that.
No.
Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. President. There is a rule within the city council, and it's not used often, but it is available, that if 8 members are willing, a vote of 8 will move something out of committee, we'll bring it to the floor, and at that point, once on the floor, it can be referred back to committee. In this case, if the will is to do this, back to the License or the Legal Affairs Committee, and at that point, if there's a further will not to move on the position itself, I will bundle the two of them together and have a meeting. And I spoke to the mayor. I mean, obviously, the mayor brought this forth a while ago, and there has been some questions, and with regard to make up the commission, what the responsibilities are, whether it's an advisory, and there's a whole issue of things. But at that point, that's why it was divided, which is atypical. That's why the director's position was divided out and sent to Ola, because there seemed to be a will to move that position, but now there seems to be some hesitation about doing them separately, and let's move them together. Either way, I plan on moving this thing before the next meeting, because the way it's currently set up is the Government Services Committee would have to meet on it, refer it at our next council meeting back to the Ola, then I'd have to meet on it, and then we're talking a month. This has been in committee for a long time. There's been a lot of questions. I urge everyone, any questions, I know there's been some revisions made. It's been sent out to us. We'll get everything out there on the table, sent to everybody. They can look at it, make some comments, and back to the administration for tweaking it, to Beth Renata, city solicitor. She's been awesome at being able to do the strike-through versions and then try to get us all on a similar page where we can have a productive discussion and move this thing forward.
I would ask one point of procedure if the city clerk on this is, because the matter is currently in committee and there's no order or anything before us right now to pull it out of committee, is that something we can do with the matter committee and just reach in and grab it and pull it out of committee?
8 votes.
I just got one.
It's the very last rule, the very last line.
I'm saying, does there have to be a separate order put in to start that process, or can we just request it from the floor?
You can request it from the floor and do a roll call vote. It requires at least 8 votes.
Okay.
That is correct. One last procedural question.
So, any other procedural questions on this before we?
Sort of one last procedural question, because it has to come as a motion, and a motion not on the agenda before Tuesday noon is supposed to be referred to committee with no debate.
No.
So that, now we're dealing with the sunshine law.
Nope, no, you're not.
All right, well.
So, Councilor Milo?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I would argue that if we couple these things together, it's going to kind of force us to look at both of them. It's kind of under a time limit if we do that, and I think if we, and I think that's what we need to do, and I think it'll accomplish basically everybody's goal within a reasonable period of time, and we can just
So do we have a
have it done and get
motion?
out.
So we have a motion with this to refer this to, so first we have a motion to refer this to the full council, and Then subsequent to that, are we referring it back? I'll ask Councillor Lovely, who has hand up first. Trying to keep track of all the motions here.
We're looking for a motion which takes 8 votes to take the matter from committee to get it before the council. That's what the motion.
Well, this one already is from committee, this particular matter, but then we also have the matter that's in government services right now, which you want to bring out to the council.
Right, which
as
would
well.
take a motion.
But saying that, is that the, well, we're basically out of the regular order in this regard. Councillor Epley?
Mr. President, I move that we go out of order, that we stop where we are. I move that we go out of order to,
Again, what page we're going to now?
actually, I take that back. Mr. President, in terms of parliamentary inquiry, would it make sense, in order to accomplish exactly what Councillor Milo has just outlined, which I think is entirely reasonable, it's a two-week delay, but it gets everything together and on the same page. My parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President, is would it make sense for us to vote to keep the matter of the, this current matter which is before us, which is the OLA matter, keep that in committee? To basically, instead of taking my colleague, who's the chair, his recommendation to bring it to the full council, that we move it right back to the committee, and then, once that happens, we'll...
I believe that would be the correct procedure. Councilor McCarthy?
Everything's together.
Not being the chair, not being the president, but I would agree with my colleague from across the aisle. Procedurally, the vote would be, the recommendation from committee was to send it to the full council for their consideration or recommendation. So at this point, it would take a vote of the city council to move the matter back to committee. And then at that point, then we could take up whatever other motion we
Then we would
got.
have to place a motion to supersede it to,
You have to accept the committee report.
yeah, we did that already. We accepted the committee report first. We
haven't
didn't
adopted.
adopt the recommendation, though. We did accept the committee report.
So the committee, so just for clarification, the committee report was to recommend to the full council.
Yes.
Refer the matter out to the full council.
So we now want to, instead of adopting the recommendation, we want to have a motion instead to supersede that, to refer that back to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, Legal Affairs. So, Councilor Epley.
Mr. President, I move that this matter be referred back to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with Committee Whole.
Councilor Epley moves this be referred back to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, Legal Affairs, co-posted with Committee of the Whole. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by half the council. I'll give Councilor Dibble credit for that one. Seeing no further discussion on this portion of the matter, or
Just
actually, Councilor Domingo
discussion,
does-
super quick. I just ask my colleagues on the council if you do have any recommendations to either part of this ordinance to get it to the city solicitor as soon as possible, so that when we have this meeting, it's done efficiently, and we're not discussing as much on the floor, that we kind of have those changes made ahead of time. If that's okay with everybody, I'd appreciate it.
So, on the motion to send this back to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Now we would have the motion, I believe, at this point. So, so,
You have to vote the rule.
yes.
Vote the rule.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilor
President.
Milo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we invoke Section 38 of the council rules, discharging matters from committee, and that we discharge the first part of the ordinance that we're discussing out of government services to the floor, so that we can refer it to ordinances, licenses, and legal affairs for further action. But, so the motion is to discharge
Discharge to the floor.
the government services matter to the floor,
And,
right?
Roll call vote.
By roll call vote.
And as Councilor Milo moves, this be discharged to the full council and moved out of committee by roll call vote. Do we need a show of hands? Well, have one, show of hands? Under discussion?
Just quickly, I'm reluctant to vote for this, even though it should pass this, because I consider this a provision on some kind of emergency, and I don't consider this a real emergency, and I don't really think we have to do this. We could work it out time-wise, but, so again, I'm a little reluctant on it. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the matter?
Just
Councilor
for the
Famico?
record, that's order number 685.
Okay, so the vote on the floor is to move council order number 685 the remaining portion of the, of the new, of the parking and traffic ordinance to the full floor so that it can be referred back to the Committee on North's Lights and Legal Affairs, co-posted with Committee of the Whole. And that's by roll call vote. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Reluctant, yes.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
We're gonna get it all together.
On the matter of removing the portion of the ordinance relative to traffic and parking director and parking commission out of the Committee on Government Services, Order 685, and removing it out and back to the full council. 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, none in the negative, sorry, 1 absent. The matter carries. Councilor Milo.
Mr. President, that may have been 631. We have 2 in government services that are related to parking commission.
Just make sure that that's clarified when we pull the actual motion. This is, the intent is to take the order specifically in government services to the creation of the Parking and Traffic Commission. So now that we've removed that, and put that back in front of us, would somebody offer a motion to this back? Councilor? Don't all go up at once. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the matter that was just discharged from the Committee on Government Services be referred to the Committee on Licensed and Legal Affairs. And at this time, I would suggest that, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, thank you. I will work out the date with the city clerk tomorrow, but tentatively right now, I'm looking for next Thursday, but I'll work that date out and I'll let everyone know as soon as possible.
So Councilor McCarthy moves that the matter we just discharged, order number 630-something, be on the Parking and Traffic Commission, specifically be referred back now to the Committee on Ordinances, Licensed Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and the City Council, April 28, 2016, the Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of $300,000 appropriation from fund balance reserved for appropriation free cash to the HR Collective Bargaining Reserve account to fund the police patrolman contract settlement, has considered said matter and would recommend adoption.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a committee meeting prior to our council meeting this evening at 6 o'clock, and Sarah Stanton, our finance director, as well as Chief Butler, were present and available to answer any questions. What Ms. Stanton outlined to us was that this $300,000 appropriation is essentially the Patrolmen's Union has been in negotiations with the administration for 2.5 years for what is essentially a 3-year contract, and it's been finally finalized, which is great. The $300,000 that's left that basically gets us across the goal line is retroactive payment for raises that were ostensibly 2.5% raises for the patrolmen. This covers that. This gets us to where we need to be. And as Ms. Stanton outlined, we are now 6 months away from starting negotiations again on the next contract. So I'm certainly hoping that our patrolmen's union and the administration can work a bit more expeditiously on the next contract, but we're there. And so if I would just encourage as well, if this was a 4-0 vote in committee, I would just ask my colleagues to vote for adoption to get this behind us.
Any further discussion? On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor Famiko.
City of Salem and I move for adoption of the report. I have to read this now? City of Salem and City Council, April 28, 2016. The Committee on Government Services co-posted with the Committee of the Whole to whom was referred the matter of guidelines for cell sites and all telecommunications applications, has considered said matter and recommend that the matter be referred out to the full council.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
This is everything that we went over with the public hearings earlier.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Communication from city officials.
We have a communication from Jane Guy, Assistant Community Development Director, for adoption of an order for fiscal year 17 budget for the Community Preservation Act funds. The order appropriation is $595,000 to the CPA funds in fiscal year 2017.
Councilor Ripley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that this matter be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Ripley moves this be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I had prior communication with Ms. Guy. She wanted to know whether or not she needed to attend this evening. I know from past conversations that when we're getting in the process of funding for CPA, that there's several questions, and so this just makes sense to refer this to committee. And so she will be available for a committee meeting at a further date.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Epley's motion, this be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Petitions.
We have a petition from Verizon to install conduits on Washington Street and Canal Street.
Hearing ordered May 12, 2016. Further petitions.
We have a petition from Erin Dolan to meet with the City Council to discuss the City of Salem and Otis Sister City relationship, as well as receiving funding and increasing participation in the program.
Councilor Dibble.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I move that we refer the matter to Committee on Government Services, co-posted with Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Dibble moves this be referred to Committee on Government Services, co-posted with Committee of the Whole, under discussion.
Yes, as we heard earlier, this is an absolutely wonderful program. My wife and I personally, we've hosted 7 of these 8th graders coming from Otaku, Tokyo, Japan. And 2 of my 3 sons did the exact opposite. They went and lived with the Japanese students who had previously lived in my house. And I encourage that we support this program.
On Councilor Dibble's motion, this be referred to the Committee on Government Services, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Councilor Famico?
I just have a question through you, and it might be to the Administration and Finance Chair. As this deals with receiving funding from the city, would it then have to go to your committee after?
Unless, I can just clarify, unless unless there's a specific communication from the city to allocate money to them, it wouldn't go there. They are looking for discussion of the program and trying to find ways to work better with the city and hopefully get more funding sources. So we had some discussion about this prior to the meeting.
One more thing, then I move that this actually be referred to the Community and Economic Development.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we're going to sit here and bat it around which committee gets it, why don't we just refer it to the committee whole, it's all of us.
That's
and
fine,
then you as president can chair it, and then we can figure out what recommendation. That way, when it comes out of committee, it's going to come out of a vote of everybody in the room. That way, we don't have to worry about it. So I think that would be cleaner if we do it that way.
I'll send it there. Councilor Dibble, you want to amend that?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to amend my request that it be, the matter be recommended to the Committee of the Whole.
All right, Councilor Dibble is withdrawn his previous motion and moving to refer to Committee of the Whole. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Petitions.
We have a license applications for public guides.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move they be granted.
Councilor McCarthy moves they be granted. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Seeing no further discussion on Councilor McCarthy's motion, these be granted. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have 2 Tag Day applications.
Councilor McCarthy.
I move that these matters be referred to the Committee on License, Orders, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor McCarthy moves these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Councilor McCarthy's motion, these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have one drain layer contract operator license.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this application be granted.
Councilor McCarthy moves to be granted. Under discussion.
No discussion.
On Councilor McCarthy's motion, this be granted. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have one drain layer bond.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that this matter be referred to the Committee on License Order Legal Affairs and returned approved.
Councilor McCarthy moves that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, Legal Affairs, returned approved. Under discussion?
No discussion, Mr. President.
On Councilor McCarthy's motion, these be referred and returned approved. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Unfinished business? None. Councilor Sargent.
Want me to speak?
No, just, no, please,
I
no.
move for adjournment.
Councilor Sargent moves for adjournment. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.